Literally right now. Right now we're doing What's Up. It's literally happening.
Oh, you hit that record button?
Yeah. So before we get started, I should probably say that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Ahiga Comics and Drago66. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can access to episodes early. You can get the audio downloads. For those of you wondering where that sort of feature is at. Lots of other goodies. And it would really help us out. No kidding. Thanks for your support, guys. What are you chuckling about, Lucky? What's up, Lucky? What are you chuckling at? That's right, I turned it around.
You mostly, because you kept cutting out like during that. I'm like, I'm not sure when I'm supposed to be talking here.
Now-ish, I guess? I don't know. I did cut out a little bit.
I don't know.
You cut out a
It's
little
like,
bit. Hopefully
come on, folks. Yeah, like people, like we record this to Discord, and going through like a third party like this, it just messes things up. Every week, like whether I'm doing What's Up or Let's Talk FGO, I have to sit here and guess: is Omega talking? Is he not talking? Is he waiting for me to say something? It's like I have no cue.
The permanent game. I mean, we could set up webcams and like do visual cues, but there's still lag there. All right. Anyway, we're recording.
Man.
We're What's Up now. So I wanted to. Normally you ask me what's up, so I have the perfect lead into that. But then you were laughing, so I was like, "Well, there's a perfect way to start the show at least." So hey, first I'm gonna say, Lucky, you should no longer feel bad about your editing foibles because I managed to publish an episode of Game Dev Tycoon where the beginning was at the end. Whoops.
What? How?
It's spliced wrong. I wasn't paying close enough attention with my file names.
Oh.
So, most Let's Play type stuff I do on computer, I record through a program called Fraps. It's really good, but it's a little old. But, to prevent the files, which are very high quality, but it makes them, they're quite large. To prevent them from being super fucking large, it splits them, like, every few gigabytes or so.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Which means I have to stitch them back together in a movie-making software. And normally I'm pretty good about making sure they're in order, but somehow, despite the fact that I literally checked this one to avoid this problem, it's still goofed up and the first part ended up at the end somehow. I guess I just got lazy checking them all. And guess what? Because they're large, and because we don't exactly have a robust file storage system, it's called we own computers and a couple of portable drives, I tend to cycle them out like right away so I don't get confused with old stuff. So fixing, like, remaking it is completely out of the question. I could probably fix it by, like, opening it up and, like, resplicing it. God knows what how that would, like, quality-wise work out. But I'm probably not going to bother because I don't know if enough people even care. If you care, I can fix it. Let me know. I just needed to get some stuff done because you have been sick this week, Lucky, and also you spent quite a bit of time working on the episode of Let's Talk FGO, putting on your editor Lucky hat. So and I've just been tired. Like, if you've been following me on Twitter, you've noticed I've made some tweets about my general energy level. Only in the past couple of days have I got that turned around. So our backlog got a little thin. So sorry if a couple of things that came out this week weren't the highest quality content. Some of them were. I will take no take back that the Let's Talk FGO you made, Lucky, was really good.
Listen, I'm gonna still try and work on it.
Well, always be improving.
So, like, I've actually been reading the comments on that, and, like, for the most part, pretty positive. I think I've only had, like, 2, like, negative comments on it, and one we had 3. Because one person just said straight up generally preferred having the meme image in the background the entire time. Another person said that the Summer 2 music was just banal.
Which
and
it kind of
one
was.
Is someone thought the just BGM overall was a bit too loud.
Yeah.
So the Summer Part 2, like, that was it. That's it. That's done. That was an event.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably not going to hear that again. And probably even if we're still doing this next year, which I hope we are, I'm probably not going to use it again because, like, even I got sick of it. Like, I kept with it because, you know, it ties into the event and the section we were doing. But I was like, God damn, man, I should have just put the Summer 1 music in there.
Yeah, no, it was
it's just...
It wasn't great. I mean, I didn't get too taken out of it when I reviewed the episode. Let nobody say we don't occasionally review the content we make before we put it out. But yeah, it didn't stick out too much to me, but I could definitely see, like, because I skipped around a little to make sure, mostly just to see edits and stuff. So I could see somebody listening to it straight being like, this is a little annoying because the music's not super pleasant or anything. We'll try and make sure our our BGM selection is better. I think for a lot of the like generic soundtrack picks, that was like spot on. Like the intro, you played the actual title music. Through some of our more lighthearted segments, you had some lighthearted stuff. That was good. The visual cues and the inserts with all the videos were good. And I guess if you want more meme images, guys, just watch What's Up, because, hey, Lucky, would you like to know, for the past 5 minutes or so, the audience has been staring at the screen cap of my Chicago from Azur Lane.
Yeah, that's
what's going in for the visual for this episode. And it'd be way prettier than anything else I could do. Chicago. That's my second big topic. But if you've got some other stuff you want to try and bring up, we can hit that first.
I don't know. I was just going to say, it's like, do you want to talk about Azur Lane?
Well, I do. And I want to talk about for a couple of things. So if this turns into the entire episode, sorry, but not sorry.
It's not. I'm not playing it, so I got nothing to add about it.
Well, you say that now, but like I said, I got a couple different angles I could come at this from. The first is, yes, I, in particular, am playing Azur Lane now. The open beta, as they call it, just came out in the US and Canada. Also, sorry if I suddenly make some metallic noises. I'm just trying to adjust my microphone stand just a tiny bit. But yeah, so it came out. I didn't really look at it for like the closed beta, but I've been like, yeah, I mean, I really like FGO. I enjoy Girls Frontline, though I will say a decent amount of the stuff I do in Girls Frontline is fire and forget. It's like, okay, sign in, batteries, affection. Do I have any tokens or anything? Was I building anything right now? No? Okay. Do I feel like doing some combat missions or something right now? Nah, okay. Everybody go on logistics. And then, you leave it for a couple hours and you come back. That's fine. So, a lot of the gameplay in Girls Frontline is a little passive, too. Like, I mean, you can leave your skills on manual, and you obviously can move placement of T-dolls around, though generally if you've got a solid formation, you don't need to because you're already in a decently optimal place. Like, I almost never move T-dolls around unless it's like, oh, gee, I've gone through like 6 battles in a row. I can't repair. I need to scoot one of my frontline tanks to the back row for a hot second so they don't completely, flatline or go critical.
Actually, in Operation Cube, like, when you get to the final boss, they actually had a special move that attacked a certain square.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard that some higher level enemies do that. Also, guess what? No, I did not get to the final boss in Cube. I tried, but there was just too much of a level gap in my night team efficiency, and I'm like, fuck, I can't get enough. I cannot grind this game fast enough. Because honestly, like, I mean, some people put loads and loads of hours into, like, getting that super high level already, like, right out of the gate. But honestly, GF is a little hard to grind, right?
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you do, it takes time. Either waiting on combat reports to proc, which also require you to actually do stuff to get surplus EXP, or you have to send them on auto battles, or you have to actually do missions. So everything is like, it's not like FGO where theoretically, like you can just buy a pack of EXPs in the store and slap them together. Or something else to say that's good about Azur Lane, they have commissions, which are basically their version of logistic missions type stuff. You don't even pick a formation. You just pick rando warships in your storage that meet the requirements and send them out, and they can get EXP that way, which is great. You can get a couple levels out of it, which is good because, as always, you have the classic problem where you play the game for 5 minutes, suddenly you've got like 50 bajillion units, and you're like, well, shit, half of these are at level 1. How am I going to level them? But yeah, so Azur Lane is a shoot-'em-up fundamentally. It's a little awkward on smaller phone screens. Sometimes it bothers my thumbs, but it's still pretty manageable. It's for a virtual joystick, it's pretty responsive. You can do it with like a thumb or a finger, however you want. You got a couple controls. Also, after like 3 missions, you unlock auto mode, which is fairly competent. Like, I don't know about... I've had mixed success on how effective it's been with bosses, but for like fighting scrub enemy encounters, random stuff like that, it's pretty effective. So it's really great at just fire and forget. Like, you're like, okay, I don't want to play this right now. It's late, I'm tired. It's tired, I'm late, however you want to look at that. That sounds like me when I'm tired. But it's pretty effective at that if you're not super into shoot 'em up stuff, or just like I said, it's a little tiny. I thought really hard about going to like the Azur Lane wiki and like just hunting for ship waifus to throw at you, like how you conned Camper into this game. Honestly, how you conned me into this game too, you son of a gun. Girls Front Lane.
I'm not that hard to convince to do something. Like real talk, I have very little stuff. It's like you just saying shmups. I'm like, I couldn't put it on my phone though because I already got.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
on my phone.
I think it's also a little sizey. Too.
Yeah, so
So like, if you
find
find the space for
tablet.
it, try it maybe. And honestly, tablet would probably be better because you got a larger screen. Because that's the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is the game's fun and it's light enough, and it is really light. Girls Front Lane, honestly, the story can be pretty heavy sometimes. And it's a lot of like serious tones and stuff, and the music is kind of serious some of the time. No, Azur Lane is like, ooh, we're gonna have some nice, soft, lighthearted music. Reminds me of like gentle shovelware music from like the PS2 early Wii era. Let's just have a generic lighthearted tune in the background. I'm like, ooh, this is kind of pleasant. It's nice. Reminds me of my childhood. You can put it in auto mode. Oh, it's fine. Like everything else, there's 50 million stuff. I'm pretty sure the developers are different, but I guess it's just Chinese mobile game tropes. Because there's a dorm, there's a skill training academy with limited slots, stuff like that, right? It's a lot similar to Girls Frontline. Some of the factions are even the same name. The German stand-in is I'm pretty sure Iron Blood Fleet, which by the way is what Senguis Ferry translates to in Latin.
Really?
He's Iron Blood, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't
funny.
know that.
Yeah, but like I said, it's lighthearted, but my god, the UI, it's so tiny on phones. It's so tiny.
Yeah,
I didn't realize FGO was
thumbs.
almost revolutionary in its UI design, but it really is. It's so the buttons are very big. It's got a pop-up menu, which has big buttons. The screen's not crowded or anything. It's very lovely, and it's only going to get lovelier as time goes on. Because Japan has had quite a few quality of life improvements, but lots of other games, I don't know. Do Chinese people just play on giant phones? I feel like the buttons are too tiny for my manly American hands. Did you like that when I got super American there, guys?
Actually, we probably do just in general have bigger hands.
I mean, possibly. I always thought my hands were fairly fine, not really delicate, but
oh no, I
sized,
definitely got working man hands. I'll tell you
no,
that
yeah,
right now.
well, also you're
big, meaty.
We talked about
up.
Relative heights. How tall did you say you were?
I'm usually between.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between 5'7", 5'8". And I even just scale wise, not to try to call Lucky fat or anything, guys, but you're also because that would be super hypocritical of me. But I'm pretty sure with that additional height, you're also quite a bit heavier than I am.
Oh yeah, I'm 250 pounds. It's not all fat either.
No, it's humans scale interestingly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an averagely sized person generally. Lucky, it sounds like you're a big tall person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, the shoot 'em up configurations, like I said, they're fairly decently sized buttons and stuff, and like I said, the virtual joystick sensitivity is pretty good. You can touch it basically anywhere, I think, and it'll register. But main menus and stuff, it's like, oh my god, this is like a freaking MMO main menu. On my desktop.
Oh god, no.
Luckily, you don't seem to need most of them all of the time, because there's a little mail feature where they do your daily rewards and stuff, but that's not a super common thing. You check that once every once in a while.
I'll make a quick interruption. Is there a secret super success up in FGO right now? Because
no, I don't think so. Maybe you're just being lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a couple of interesting, effective, great, and super successes, but I've also still had the classic. I'm in my last level before an ascension. Let me just give you that super success, on your last EXP card. I'm like, gee, thanks, FGO.
No, sorry, because I just got a super success that got me from 67 to 70. I'm all like, and it was one of those ones where I'm like, it's like, if I put 20, I'm gonna fucking waste a few, so I'm just gonna scale it back to 15. It was just like just enough. I was like, God damn it, this is good shit, but now I'm worried.
Do we even know? There's been a lot of talk about like various gacha probabilities and stuff going on lately. Do we even know what the official like quote unquote rate of great and super success is? I know it gets doubled or tripled in certain events, but you know,
I'm not sure. That's something we should look up. I didn't mean to interrupt you about Azur Lane there. I think
No,
I
it's
am
fine.
really gonna try it though. I don't know if it'll stick though.
No, I mean that's fine. I didn't know if it would stick for me either because I was just like, I just happened to see some people advertising that the Open was coming soon. I'm like, I could squeeze in a third game, like especially if it's like Girls Frontline where it's just, hey, whatever happens happens kind of stuff, you know? Which it really is. Like, one of the next things I wanted to talk about, and I said this in Discord, I really think some of this could be on like Let's Talk FGO, so maybe we'll talk about some of it more another time. But like I said this in response to some stuff which you probably haven't read because I think it was in spoiler chat, but we're talking about Summer BB a lot. Spoilers for Let's Talk FGO. We're going to talk about Summer BB more. Summer BB is not a nice person. Her alignment switched from chaotic good to chaotic evil, as I entirely guessed. But I remarked that I think the Japanese, I don't know why exactly, but a lot of Japanese characters like really pronounced character archetypes. Like, if you are the personality archetype, you have to be really, like, big and straightforward for it, right? Like, at least in a lot of, like, anime otaku culture type stuff, right? Like subtle character archetypes are not as prominent or popular, and it's not just because they're subtle or subdued. It's like, especially for this type of stuff, when you want to have a certain character market, they're like, oh yeah, no, we have to go to, like, an extreme level to stand out.
Well, standing out with like personality traits makes them like definitely easier to remember and thus more.
True, which I think is part of the point, especially for these types of games. But like that had me thinking because like FGO does have some character archetype stuff in it. Like obviously certain characters do appeal to certain types of things, though they tend to be more spread out. And because they're based on mythological or historical figures, there's a certain lack of leeway that they have, though, quite frankly, they also have loads of leeway because, as we've talked about on the show before, hey, history and especially folklore or mythology is not like a set-in-stone thing, right? Like, you might think history is something that definitely happened. It's like, no, historians have to work quite hard to figure out what quote-unquote really happened, and in some cases they just can't because the information doesn't exist.
Guess what, guys? A lot of stories back in the day are fucking fan fiction.
There's
and
that.
Propaganda.
You know, we talk about FGO, you almost always, with Fate, think of Arthurian stuff. Hey, guys, did you know that Lancelot is French fan fiction? He was entirely added by the French version of the cycle later. He is not in the original Welsh or other Britain or Proto-Britain Celtic stuff. Galahad too rose to prominence later. Like there were other knights who were more prominent in the quest for the Grail, which obviously was a Christian edition, not a classic Celtic mythological edition. So yeah, no, history and folklore drifts, and the idea that modern works can't continue to drift it is a little wrong, I think. Because that's the nature of storytelling, right? We keep
stories evolve with the times.
There's an old ass Latin saying which translates to "nothing new under the sun," which they have been saying a long time. So hey, guess what? It's still true.
Like people, like, you have to understand, like, people like are always like, you know, harsh in the like media for like, oh, they're just redoing the same thing over and over. It's like, no, they've always been doing the same thing over and over. They're just reskinning it and reflavoring because nothing new.
I think the problem with certain types of repetition is if it comes too fast and it's too similar. Like, yeah, okay, so Hollywood thinks that zombie movies are in for like a solid 2 years. They're gonna make a shitload of shovelware zombie movies that aren't great. Like, they don't do anything interesting with the concepts. That's dull. That's boring. If you're actually trying to iterate, though, that can be interesting. Like, that's how a lot of classical Greek plays started. They are retellings of oral traditions in in a mythological format, which is translated to like a theater format. You know, some of Shakespeare's works are historical plays, which are very dramatized versions of historical events, stuff like that. That happens a lot. I'm, you know, honestly, from what it seems like, to bring it back a little to Azur Lane, because I got a couple more bullet points in this topic to hit. But that's basically, I think, it's kind of like a retelling of a World War II narrative, because all the ships are World War II era ships. I don't know if it's just because I picked the Eagle Union, because they can't use real country names, I picked the Eagle Union starting ship, the USS Laffey, by the way. She's pretty cute. Sleepy. Really resonates with my soul, constantly wanting to take a nap. But basically, the story started at Pearl Harbor, basically, and I don't know if that's true for just me, because I picked that faction, or what. I didn't do a lot of research on Azur Lane, was one of the things going in. I'm like, going in this mostly blind. There's a little bit of community support. And honestly, the tutorial's pretty good. Like, as new systems unlock, it explains them to me, which is something Girls Frontline never really did. Like, once you get out of the tutorial in Girls Frontline, it's done. Like, we're not teaching you any more shit. At least that I've encountered. Like, and they didn't explain heavy production at all. It's just, oh, heavy production is available now. But yeah, no, it starts with like a Pearl Harbor thing.
Tutorial for it. It just wasn't very meaty. It was one of those weird ones where, you know, like, Kalina pops up and it's like, go here, do this. Now push this button. And it's just like, okay. Now you just made me use a bunch of resources for a fucking submachine gun. God damn it!
No, not even. Fuck IDW. God damn it. Nobody likes IDW. She's so annoying. But yeah, no. And that's kind of the style of Azur Lane's tutorials, but usually they're fairly involved. Like, there's sometimes, like, if you're just like, I figured this out already. Like, it wanted me to set up a second fleet, and I was like, oh, I already did that a while ago, guys, because I could, and I had more ships. But thanks for the attempts to remind me. So it takes a couple clicks to get through, but it has a decent amount of explanation, I think, at least so far, like I said. Like, it's not just one word bubble and done. It's like, okay, here's why this exists. Use this resource to do this, right? Stuff like that. So that's pretty good. But like I said, it seems to be a World War II type retelling. With also there's aliens, because there's always fucking aliens in these gacha games. I don't know I guess because it's original. I'm pretty sure it's originally Chinese. The Chinese love aliens, I guess.
Well, it's easier to justify a game where you're fighting an other worldly menace than fighting other humans.
Well, at least in this case, I'm fighting ship girls. Right now, I'm fighting lots of Japanese ship girls who are almost all universally kimono mimi. They have animal ears.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, you'd appreciate it, Lucky. I'm the big poster girl carriers for the Sakura Navy, which is the IGN stand-in, are fox girls with many tails, many floofy tails.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know if there's a consistent theme for American ships other than there's lots of eagles and red, white, and blue.
Fucking eagle.
Yeah. God damn, I love eagles. I love. There's at least. There's also a couple of.
Anything? Yes, I would like to declare independence.
There's a couple of American ship girls who have like cowboy hats and stuff type thing. You know.
I find it so hilarious that like one of the like American like stereotypes is fucking cowboy boots and hats. But to be fair, I don't know like any other country that has like cowboy boots and hats.
No, it's a very American thing because of our geography and our history that people I don't think understand as well.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, because like we can talk about the nature of calling it the New World and all that, and quote unquote indigenous peoples who also were not in. I mean, they're more indigenous than more modern Western settlers, but they weren't born here originally either. They came over in ice bridges or even by boat. Because goddamn, the Polynesians, the Pacific Islanders, get all over the fucking place on that ocean. It's huge, but they're everywhere. But like most expansion, I think, for a lot of countries in the, like, Europe, Asia, Africa complex, that's, like, way the fuck back there. Like, there's no institutional memory for, like, settling France, right? Like,
No, it's just always been there.
nobody nobody at least was writing stuff down at that point, so nobody fucking remembers. Whereas, like, expanding and settling into parts of the Americas is very recent. And very... I think the way our geography is a little unique sometimes, too. Because, like...
Well, it definitely points to, like, the Europe, Africa area as, like, where civilization began.
Yep.
And expanded from.
Earliest humans came out of, I want to say Central Africa, specifically.
Yeah.
And they moved up, mostly, and some down. And then you kind of get into the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East, which was very important, and then kind of spread out from there, because humans don't like to stay in the same place.
I said, that's the whole thing about society. It's like, your society gets big enough, you're going to start getting splinter groups, and people are going to be like, we don't like this, we're going to go somewhere else. And they did.
I guess it's just a barrier to entry, but I'm honestly shocked that our society is not more interested in space. We're more interested in, we're going back to throwing rocks at each other than, like, fuck this planet, I don't even need to be here, I'm gonna go space.
Well,
because space
part of that,
huge,
I think,
guys.
is resource and funding.
Yeah, I know, that's what I said, like, it's an expense thing. It's a shame,
like, that's why, like, I keep, like, staring at, like, science, be like, come on, asteroid farming. Come on, asteroid farming!
Well, you're gonna need to, because we're gonna run out of fucking metals in this rock.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least all the ones we can get to without, like, crashing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
Like, believe it or not, people, there are a fuck ton of asteroids flying around us.
Yeah, and they're not as dense as Star Wars made you believe, but they're fucking huge. Let's see. Hold on. I'm gonna look up the diameter of Ceres really quick. Or would that be Keres?
Like I said, I'm not an expert on it, but I've seen some maps of plotted trajectories of asteroids that are just, like, in orbit around, like, I want to say around Earth, but they're definitely, like, stay within our area, and they just, like,
Oh yeah, no, there's a whole special word for the categorization of asteroids that just happen to hang out in, like, Earth's general orbit area.
Yeah.
People I don't think like to think about that because that's super scary.
It really is. Jesus fucking Christ.
Extinction events. Okay, hold on. Mean radius of one, I guess it's Keres, which is the largest dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. Mean radius is 473 kilometers. Surface area is approximately 2,770,000 square kilometers. All right, it's fucking big. That's the biggest, but there's loads of them out there. I think there's more than we can count. Because some of them are impossible to count because they're too small and too dark for us to see. But goddamn, I love space. Space is great, guys.
And so, like, people got to remember, man, this system isn't forever. I mean, it's like several billion years, but one day that sun's gonna explode. Probably gonna go supernova, and everything from there to Jupiter is gonna be
well, hell, it doesn't even have to need to explode. It'll just start expanding. It'll go giant and super giant, and it's at least for sure gonna eat all the orbits of, like, the inner planets.
Oh yeah, like, from what I heard, it's going to Jupiter.
Yeah, no, it's
where I remember correctly.
The dimension is stars are, you know, we talk about how some asteroids are pretty big. Stars are fucking huge. Like, have you ever watched that Scale of the Universe and stuff and stars? Giant stars are enormous. It's a little freaky sometimes, like, Scale of the Universe shit. Really makes you think about your place in life. It's odd. We originally got on this topic because I was talking about character archetypes. Because the thing I did want to stress was FGO, I think, is pretty nice because it's got something to base a lot of its characters on, because either they are original characters from another Fate work or they're based on, like, a myth or a history. I mean, there are references to, because they're named after the historical ships, but obviously ships aren't people, so I don't know, Lucky, you were a Navy man. Do you feel like ships have personality?
Well, as I said, like, we always called our ships women, like, begin with. So
that's it.
So there's always that.
Yeah.
You know,
that's actually pretty common, though. I
she'll...
believe it's odd. There are Russian Navy ships in the game Azur Lane, but if I remember correctly, the Russians actually refer to ships as males. And there's some other cultures that do, but usually it's ladies.
And as I said, like, and honestly, like on ships, like usually when like, I'm trying to think of like because I was on the USS Iwo Jima. It was a LHD-7. It was an amphibious assault craft. So basically, it had a small it was a compact carrier that can also carry hovercrafts. We basically carried a complement on board as well. So we had jets, helicopters, hovercraft, and marines. Like we were like fucking kitted out. We had no guns though to speak of. We had like a couple Sea Whiz and we had a 50 cal mount. But I guess I would say if she had a personality, she'd be, you know, the forward aggressive type, but quick to run away. Because that was basically our job. Our job was to dash in there, release a bunch of Marines and helicopters and hovercraft, and get back the fuck up while the Marines went in their shit, then run back, pick them up. So I guess personalities can depend on what kind of role the ship has, and then just divide it up from.
But yeah, so like, I was thinking about this because there are some ships I have rolled or built which I like a lot, and then there are some which I do not, because guess what? I am not. I actually have taste, maybe. Mike Arnold, but hey, guess what? Super smug lollies, not my thing. I've also talked about how I am not secretly a masochist, so sadistic ladies who are like, ooh, I'm gonna step on you, Commander. I'm like, no, you're gonna go sit in the fucking dock and think about what you said to me. And Chicago's gonna give me a fucking back massage. How about that, Ajax? But it's interesting that, like, oh yeah, no, like the archetypal character archetypes of these ship girls is like super pronounced in game, and some of them are very obvious, like this is this character.
Well, they're probably trying to market on fucking
waifuism
too.
Oh well, obviously, yeah, because they want you to like find your favorites, and then you invest resources, and you can upgrade them a little, and they have higher rarities. I'm glad that they have a decent spread of personality types, because I can clearly be like, all right, so these common ass destroyers and cruisers are probably gonna be stuck doing logistics forever because I don't want to talk to them or be around them. But Chicago is my official assistant character. She literally refers to herself as One-san.
That's good.
She's a little forward, oddly enough. This isn't like it, or at least this isn't like any of the T-dolls I've interacted with, where like it seems like until you get their infection up, literally almost every T-doll is a little standoffish. I think the only exception is maybe G41, who is like, you know, hey master, I'm some nondescript type of animal girl.
Pet my head.
But most of them are like, whoa, hey, were you touching? Were you standing, Commander? Do you have to be so close?
To be fair, that's kind of reminiscent of a real woman, though.
Well, yeah, especially because most MOBA games assume when you tap the screen where a lady is, you're supposed to be physically poking them. Hey, fun fact about Azur Lane: ship girls have two zones of tapping. One is if you tap a questionable area, the chest, and the other is basically anywhere else, and they have different responses.
Oh, that's cool.
And supposedly they have some of that live 2D stuff. Supposedly the live 2D designs also have like a head region, so you can get like head responses, like body responses, and then other responses. So yes, if you poke Ship Girl in the chest, she reacts accordingly. Which, like I said, for Chicago is like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, Commander, what are you doing? I'm like, yes, perfect. I like you. Also, you're a battleship. That's a lot of fun. Or is she a heavy cruiser? I think she's probably a heavy cruiser because she's frontline. Basically, I'll tell you this now, Lucky, there's two lines. Basically, you have a vanguard and a main fleet. Main fleet is battleships and carriers. They sit in the back. They, you know, launch aircraft or shoot big guns from long range, hopefully safety. And then your vanguards are light cruisers, cruisers in general and destroyers. And they're the one doing most of the shoot 'em up stuff. They form a buffer that kind of flies out in front. They drop torpedoes on things, stuff like that. So yeah, no, your heavies tend to sit in the back, and you don't interact with them so much except when you call in like big gunshots or air raids and stuff. But yeah, no, like I said, the character types are very pronounced. Another thing that's scary about Azur Lane is it has... You can add tags in Girls Frontline for, like, certain T-dolls. Azur Lane lets people add comments and upvote those comments, which is a little dangerous. I have at least one ship which is doing nothing but referencing some type of Azur Lane Dojin by Asanagi, who does Victim Girls. So if you're familiar with his work at all, it's like, oh my, why are these the top voted comments? This is very dangerous. But some of them are also, like, make me feel like they're among my people. Like, one of the destroyers you can get is Foxhound, because the Brits all had very alphabetical themes. The top 2 comments are 6 bullets and snake. I'm like, yes, I am among my people. It's a blessing and a curse.
Like,
just been joined by Axerman to listen.
One of my notes is talk about Metal Gear. Talk about Hideo Kojima.
We could do that. We could have the entire Metal Gear episode. Before I got into Azur Lane, because I got a wild hair up my butt about it, I was playing Peace Walker again, HD. Still fun.
You see, here's the thing. Like, Peace Walker, I think, is like the only canonical Metal Gear game I have not played yet. Because
do you have a working PS3?
No, I have the fucking I have the Legacy.
You have the HD collection. Okay, you should fucking play it. It's really good. It's like, honestly, like 5 is real good, but it's incomplete.
5 starts out great. I have not beat 5.
I haven't beat 5 either. It's let's be real. From what we understand about 5 is incomplete. It's missing a third act. There's no conclusion, basically. It has a very rushed conclusion. And because of that, there's a lot of make work. There's a lot of repetitive stuff. Peace Walker has that too, but if you want to just push the story, it's completely possible to do that, to just focus on the story stuff. I think I've heard it referenced that Kojima meant Peace Walker to be the real 5, which very much it feels like. Like, when you get to the end of Peace Walker, you can see the complete transformation from Naked Snake to Big Boss, right? Like, the save icon is normally yellow. When you get to your post-game save, it turns red, literally. It's like, oh shit, I became a villain. Whoops. I may have started something that retroactively is going to cause me trouble.
Yep. Because Metal Gear, like the Metal Gear, like I've heard like a lot of people like complain about Metal Gear about how it's like hard to get into, and I kind of have to agree with them. It's not hard for me since I've been playing since Metal Gear Solid 1. Mm-hmm. Like, to be fair, you don't need to play Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Those are back on the NES.
No,
and they reference those.
Solid, I think, is decent because that's what I start. No, I started with. Did I start with? No, I think I actually started with Solid and then got 4 like right after. But anyway, Solid references what happened in Metal Gear 1 and 2 decently enough for you to understand.
Yep. See, and then 2 takes you on a completely different fucking route. Mm-hmm. 3 then takes you all the way fucking back. 4 then, catapults you forward again. Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 5, which takes you back to between 1 and 3.
Peace Walker and Metal
Portable
Gear.
Ops. Were also Portable Ops and Peace Walker were basically mobile titles, which were supposed to connect Metal Gear 3 to the main timeline, and thus I connect Metal Gear 3 to Metal Gear 5 now. So Metal Gear is very interesting. I think Kojima had a love-hate relationship with it, right? Like, people kept telling him to make more, and he kept making more. And he kept trying to do different things every time, but at the same time, you can tell I don't know if it's just his sense of, like, artistry or what, but he clearly puts effort into every game, every time.
Yeah, like, honestly, I look at this, I'm like, Kojima, did you just, like, did you have, like, an overall plan for this when you started, or are you just literally making up this beautiful bullshit as you go?
I think he always had because, I mean, the themes shift a little from game to game, though some of that's retroactive. Like, he explicitly said in 4 it was gene, meme, scene, sense, right? Like, he flat out explained that each game had a slightly different theme that locked together, which is, and then what did he say the theme of 5 was? Is it just revenge?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
said it was just revenge.
So it kind of breaks the theme a little, but he set out with a thematic goal for every game, but they link together.
To be fair, 5 was definitely when he was on his straining point with Konami. So
well, 5 was Konami's holding the virtual, hopefully not the literal, but considering what people who came out of that said about Konami's working environment, I wouldn't be fucking surprised. But that was Konami holding the figurative gun to him and being like, Mr. Kojima, you make Metal Gear games. Make us a Metal Gear game. And he's like, okay, but I'm gonna do my usual thing, right? Like, you understand that this is gonna be revolutionary and shit. They're like, yes, make it. And then they're like, oh shit, the budget. Because it is, like, from a technical standpoint, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a work of fucking art. That,
oh my god.
like, playing Peace Walker after 5 being the most recent title I played a lot of, like, well, yes and no. I guess between then I went back and beat 3 again because 3's amazing. But you really feel a lot of the mechanical limitations for Peace Walker because it was built to be on the PSP originally.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 is just so fluid. It's so easy to change everything. It's so easy to do what you want. There's so many complex elements. There's fucking the AI for companions is pretty solid. You know, the game adapts and learns and stuff so much so that you have to, like, occasionally have to be like, okay, generic Diamond Dog punks, I need you to go steal all their helmets because there's too many fucking helmets in this region. That was a mechanic, by the way, that Peace Walker introduced, and it's just as annoying there. If not more so, because the aiming is not as precise. Because obviously PSP. But yeah, no, like, it's just mechanically from top to bottom, it's great. And I can totally see why they ran out of money, and Konami's like, you gotta put this out, and Kojima's like, it's not done. They're like, we don't fucking care. Finish it. It's in the contract. Finish it. Finish it and get the fuck out of here. And I hope to God that...
I mean, then Kojima's like, fuck you, I'm Hideo fucking Kojima. And then smoke bombed out.
Yes, exactly. He Fultoned out.
Yeah.
Fultoning is also, I think, that started as like a meme level in Peace Walker because you're Fultoning the fuck out of people. Oh, it's even worse in Peace Walker because in 5, if you try to Fulton somebody indoors, it doesn't work. Not true in Peace Walker. the physics engine is not that advanced. You can Fulton people out of a closed room. You can Fulton people who are lethally injured to try and save your kill rate, because that's obviously Metal Gear is a game not about killing. Which is actually originally true, because of the mechanical limitations of the MSX and the Famicom and stuff. Kojima literally couldn't put an army's worth of enemies on screen, so he decided to make it about sneaking. So Metal Gear is always a game that's about stealth and not killing.
Remember, tactical espionage action.
Oh my god. Like I said,
but seriously though, like, as good as 5 is, like, I think 4 is, like, my favorite, though. Just in terms of story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love 4. Like, that was one of my first big ones, and it was basically launched for PS3. It was one of the first games I got for PS3, besides Heavenly Sword.
So that's the game where you had to sit for 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
While you're fucking chapter loaded, watching Snake smoke a cigarette.
Launch installations in the PS4.
Oh my
god, I remember fucking Bayonetta. The load times. Ugh. And then eventually they added an install to HD option. Yeah, no. But it was fucking worth it.
Yeah, but Metal Gear Solid 4, oh my god, like... So you didn't play Metal Gear Solid 1 before Metal Gear Solid 4?
I think I did. I have, because I have the original on my on a PS1 disc. I never owned a PS1, but I got a copy of Metal Gear Solid, which I played.
So, because, like, me... going back to Shadow Moses and seeing everything, like, all this time later, like, I had to stop playing. I literally had to stop playing because I felt so goddamn emotional.
I didn't... Well, like, I mean, there's the difference between you and me, Chief. That was emotional for me, but it wasn't like, I have to stop now. I'm like, this is so cool. I have to keep going. Oh my god, they're playing The Best Is Yet to Come. Holy shit.
It's like, because, like, you would go through, like, certain areas and, like, you would hear, like, recordings of, like, the old game of, like, people talking there, like, when you go through the vent. Like, you don't have to go through the vents.
But you get flashbacks, or you can get a drop-in point bonus by tilting the camera up, and Snake's like, yeah, overhead view, just like old times.
And it's
You
just
can
like-
find the
and it's
fucking
like, oh.
SOCOM in the same place in the front yard.
Yes. It was just like one of those things. I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, let's say it like this: like 5
And
is completely unnecessary to the story. You, especially with Peace Walker in there, but honestly, you could finish 3. You can see Naked Snake gets the title, big boss. He's not happy about it. You can totally see, and then like 40 years later, he's a villain, or like 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
You could totally see
But I
that
think
build
it's
up.
good that they, it's a chunk they can fill in, but
4
like,
is
oh my God.
4 was clearly Kojima's intended coda to the series. It's like, okay, this is
Like, I mean,
it started
literally-
with Solid Snake, right? It's gonna end with Solid Snake, and it does, and it almost ends permanently with Solid Snake. But some stuff happened to the post credits, which
like,
Metal Gear loves.
oh my god, like,
But yeah,
real
no.
talk, like, I have never like, there's like fucking Metal Gear Rex fighting Metal Gear Ray.
Oh my god, that's so fucking rad.
It was such the raddest thing ever.
It's so dumb,
'Cause
but
it's
so
literally-
cool. And fucking Otacons, they're cheering you on because finally his fucking machine gets to be used for good.
Mm-hmm. And then you're on a fucking aircraft carrier on the very fucking tight, duking it out with fucking Revolver
I guess
Ocelot / Liquid Sand. You're just like, oh my god, like,
the Outer Heaven mobile is like a submarine carrier thing.
submarine carrier thing, and it's just
Yeah, and yeah.
all the characters are coming back. Like Maylene comes back. Fucking
And of course when you finish it, it plays the different alert, and it plays the fucking alert theme from Metal Gear Solid, which
It
is
changes
all
your
your
health
boss themes for
bars
like
to-
yes.
and change your health bar. It takes you back on this journey of everything you've gone through.
And all
And,
the
like-
music for Metal Gear Solid 4 on its own is great.
Oh my god, like 4 was like just top tier, and like
The
And
bosses
here's
are all
the-
references: Laughing Octopus, Raging Raven,
Crying Wolf,
Crying Wolf.
and
I can't remember what Screaming Mantis, I think.
yeah, Screaming Mantis.
And Screaming
Like,
Mantis, fucking Psycho Mantis
literally
comes
all
back and he tries to read your memory card and he's like, "There's no memory card." And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck you, buddy. Solid state hard drives, Blu-rays,
Oh no,
motherfucker."
and there was also another one where he tried to like shake your vibe. There was another where he tried to shake your controller. But originally, the original PS3
Right, the 6-axis didn't
controller
have
did not.
vibration. It wasn't until they did DualShock 3.
Yeah, and so it was actually interesting when they did bring it back. There was an additional line put into Metal Gear Solid 4 where it says "Vibrations back, baby," and I'm just like, I can't handle this game
Oh,
because
no.
as serious as Metal Gear is, it also like cracks so many jokes at itself, like every fucking time.
I'll say this. I mean, like, this is interesting because this came up in an interview. Like, we like to relate stuff to FGO, but this is. I wonder if this isn't a good quality about a lot of Japanese storytellers, but like, Nasu and Takeuchi were in an interview about the 3rd anniversary, and they talked about how like Nasu's writing style in particular swings between like super serious dark Fate stuff and then like what Type Moon does in its April Fools, which is where characters like Mysterious Heroine X come from, right? Like those kinds of jokes, the kinds of stuff that ends up in a lot of FGO events. Kojima definitely has a similar self-aware style where he can swing from dead serious, the fucking microwave hallway scene. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That
I have never
hurts
smashed
every
a button.
time.
Never smashed a button as hard in my life.
And with the fucking one woman whale singing and all that stuff. 2, like we said, like Psycho Mantis jokes about the that was like 5 minutes ago in the game. That was the boss fight just before the microwave hallway. Is Psycho Mantis ragging on you or missing out on his not having memory cards because he can't read your memory cards anymore, because that was a very self-aware thing that Psycho Mantis does in the original Metal Gear Solid, and he can be like, "So you play Castlevania?" and stuff like that. Like, nah, it's nuts.
Metal Gear Solid, like, also, like, the Psycho Mantis thing, like, I remember this, like, when that game screen went black and it said Hideo in the corner, you had to like unplug your fucking controller.
No, because it was all wired.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that in Metal
Like,
Gear
you
Solid
had-
4, it fucks you. Because like Snake,
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if they actually make a comment about it though.
I think if you do try to do it, like Campbell will call you and be like, Snake's like, I can't move, and he's like, what are you doing? I switched my controllers to beat him. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. It's wireless. That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, I also remember like in Shadow Moses, you like at the part where before you get to the foundry, Otacon calls you to tell you to change discs.
And he's like, oh wait, we're on fucking Blu-rays now, Snake. You don't have to do that. Or some of the fucking codec conversations. Did you get the codec conversation about Snake fighting the tank?
Oh yeah, it's like, Snake, you're the shit.
You're like,
it's technically impossible.
I asked an infantryman about a special forces soldier about fighting a tank on foot. You know what he said? Don't. Which is, by the way, true. Don't. It's a really dumb idea. But still, like, so Metal Gear has that perfect amount of, like, deadly serious themes. Like, you can tell Kojima has a serious boner about nuclear proliferation. Like, no matter what the theme of Metal Gear is, it is always about nukes. Ultimately, it's always about nuclear weapons somehow. Like, or even I would argue, Metal Gear Solid 4 is about, like, what's the next nuke, right? Like, what's the next system gonna be that controls our...
Well, yeah, because they was talking about, like, the, Guns of the Patriot system, which was basically all the ID tags of PMCs being, being controlled. So, like, war had become a digitized profit-making machine.
That was about the same time that Fallout 3 came out, so there was a long-standing meme battle between war never changes and
war has changed.
Which is what Snake says in the opening line, and just fucking A. I haven't played all the way through Metal Gear Solid 4 recently, but I played the first couple chapters again. It's like, like that opening, fucking meaningful. You get the geckos, and you're like, what the fuck am I looking at? And they're like, oh yeah, no, we can mass-produce mini Metal Gears. They moo like cows, because that's fucking weird. And actually, they make cicada and cow noises so that you don't realize they're coming, by the way. It's like a psychological tactic, so you don't realize, oh, what's that? It's just a cow mooing. It's not a big deal. Oh, it's just cicadas. No, it's a fucking death machine coming to fucking crush your shit. Yeah. Or the theme of the frogs, the Haven Troopers. My favorite boss theme, by the way, was...
by the way.
Laughing Ox. But yeah, no, like I said, the music was good. Four's a great coda to the series. And honestly, everybody has their favorite Metal Gear Solid, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody does. Some people like the original, because that's probably what they played for the longest time before, like, 2 or even 3 came out. Some people say 3 because they were, like, maybe not the generation before us, but they were definitely playing the game in a certain mindset so that, like, maybe 3 was the one they picked up right after 1.
3, I think, has the best storytelling, like, and pacing and stuff. Because, like, honestly, 3 feels like it could, like, honestly be, it's just kind of a heavier Bond film to me.
Yeah, no, it's made in that vein because, apart from, like I said, like, Kojima's got his themes about war and about nuclear proliferation and stuff. Also, he loves movies. He fucking wants to make movies. Like, trust me, you follow Hideo Kojima on Twitter, the man won't shut up about movies. Always tweeting about movies he's buying or seeing. Or directors he's just hanging out with because he's fucking Hideo Kojima and he can just hang out with directors now, flying all over the world. Actors is the same. That's why I think he casts a lot of famous actors in his works, especially now, like getting so many of them to be like models for Death Stranding and stuff. But he loves movies, so Metal Gear games, especially since the Solid era, are loads of pastiches of movies. But even before then, fucking Snake Plissken from Escape from New York.
Yep. They even reference that in the second one.
He uses that as an alias, Iroquois Plissken. A lot of the plots are like references to movies. Like, 3 feels straight up like a Bond film. And you can even... Major Zero loves Bond movies. He talks about them all the time. You can put on the tuxedo and get special conversations about it. I feel like mechanically, I think 3 was one of the most robust because it added a lot of new systems, some of which are completely discarded later, like
blowing up ammo and food shelters.
Yeah, there's that.
That was something I really enjoyed.
That was always super fun, especially because you can make people hungry, and then you can give them spoiled food or poisonous food, and they fucking eat it because they're hungry. Like, there's so much detail in it. Injuries are a thing you can fix, and some of them,
God,
hey, you go through a fucking swamp, you pick up some leeches, they drain your fucking stamina. You're like, why is my stamina going down? Oh, I'm literally covered in leeches.
Like, you have bullets, bullet wounds, burn wounds, broken bone, cuts. I mean, like, laceration, leeches. You can get poisoned by snakes.
You can get poisoned by eating wrong food, because food is another thing you got to keep. The survival was super emphasized. And, like, you know, some stuff you don't want to eat, some stuff is really tasty. Stuff like that.
Sometimes some foods shouldn't do shit, like the fluorescent mushrooms that recharge your battery. You call... If you eat one of those and you call
SIGINT,
medic,
probably,
I think it was.
Paramedic?
She's like... And she's all like, what the fuck? How does this work? And she's just in the background. And the guy's like, I don't fucking know.
Did it actually... They think like Snake's crazy. But yeah, no, like, the support staff in that game is really fleshed out.
Oh, yeah.
The bosses are pretty well fleshed out. The Cobra unit. It has a very complete feel that the game has stepped away from. Like, camouflage was super important. You had to, like, match your face and body camouflage. And you change them on the fly. Like, Peace Walker has a camouflage system, but you can't change it in the middle of a mission. You have to do it before you start. So you have to be like, okay, I'm going to be in the jungle. I'm going to put my jungle shirt on today.
This is why I like 4 and the Octo Camo.
Yeah, 4 simplified a lot of systems. Though also I will say, as at least personally, as a huge gun porn aficionado, fucking mods in 4 was great.
Oh my god.
And they give you an M4, basically a SOT mod type carbine, the M4 custom, and like, yeah, no, all those attachments are real, guys. You can put all that shit on an M4 carbine. That's what it's there for. And it's like, yes, no, this is great.
Be super like, yeah, M4s are super modular.
They were designed to be that way. Like, they're covered in rails. They've got the threaded barrel for a suppressor. You've got a couple different optics they make. You can put the underbarrel launcher or the master key, which is a real thing, on the bottom. My build was always suppressor, because fucking stealth. I think I did, like, the ACOG style, like the rifle style scope, not the dot sight. Grenade launcher just in case. But sometimes...
What was great, though, is you can... I can't remember. I think you can put stun grenades on the...
Yeah, because you had a lot of different ammo choices, too. Like, some, like, for shotguns, you could choose beanbag rounds, which is great if you wanted to do a non-lethal run on bosses. Because alert phase doesn't matter when you're fighting a boss and you just double-barreled shotgun, beanbag rounds. I'm like, all right, ladies, come on. Let's dance.
That's all, like... It's like, oh, you're in this... I thought it was hilarious. Like, oh, you're in this giant exosuit of metal and plastic. Here, let me hit you with beanbags and slowly take you out.
Well, and of course, you always did the most damage when their physical bodies were exposed. Like, if you wanted to hurt Crying Wolf, you had to wait until she comes out of the suit to shoot her gun.
God, the boss designs... Like, that's something that I think...
4, I think, had such polished bosses because there were so few of them. But they were really good. They were a lot of great design choices. Quirky bosses is another thing Metal Gear is known for. Like, I've watched some people play the original Metal Gear games. They have some crazy shit. Like, they have machine gunners. You fight fucking space ninjas in an elevator one time. Like, literally teleporting ninjas throwing ninja stars. It's nuts.
It's like I've only beaten the original Metal Gear. I haven't beaten Metal Gear 2 yet because...
Honestly, going back to 2 is hard, because it's like 1, but it isn't 1. And let's be real, Raiden is kind of
I hear
the butt.
Like 2 is like where they really start, like, you know, pushing the crazy button.
Well, so Metal Gear 1 is where Kojima learned that memes are a thing, as in, like, not like image macros, but like literally the concept of a meme. And that's the purpose of, that's the thematic keyword of 2, and that is a lot what the meta plot of 2 is about, is like these AIs influencing individual particles of information, right? Like, warping the world.
And because that's when you had Dead Cell, you had Fortune, Batman, Vamp. Fucking Vamp.
Vamp was so weird.
I
love how...
Who else?
Like,
it was Fortune, Batman, Vamp.
I think those were the three main. Those were the 3 main Dead Cell guys. There were way fewer Dead Cells bosses, but there were a couple of other things. Like, you had to fight a Harrier. You had to fight Solidus.
Yeah, but you know, just get a Stinger. You're alright.
Well, it's the same with the fucking Hind D. Liquid busts out the Russian gunship, and you're like, I have stinger missiles, asshole. And he's like, fuck. I'll get you next time, Snake. Because Liquid is fucking invincible. Like, he literally says, if you fall off Rex, you'll die. And it's true. If you, Solid Snake, fall off Rex, you die. You punch Liquid off Rex, 5 minutes later, he's riding fucking in the back of a armed Jeep with a machine gun shouting, Snake! Literally, he doesn't stop until the virus makes his heart explode. After a car crash.
That was the thing that, like, you know, got me about Metal Gear Solid 1 is, at the end of that, you know that Snake is, like, literally living on borrowed time. Because, you know, he literally has this deadly virus just in his system that, you know, just stop him at any moment. Mm-hmm. And then you go over to 4, and he's, like, he's old, and, like, because of fucking, like, people don't fuck with DNA, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got clone degeneration because his fucking telomeres weren't built right.
Yep. Like, and then he's still carrying it, and then, you know, they bring it all back, and you're just like, oh my god.
Fox die and Fox alive. Also, I like that Rising made it a meme, but the 4 was the start of nanomachines, because that was clearly the one where Kojima learned that nanomachines were a thing, and so they did everything. Like, they were like, Vamp's natural healing abilities were enhanced by nanomachines. Poke him with your own nanomachines so you can kill him. Which is true. You have to shoot him up with... You have to grapple him and shoot him up with the nanomachine syringe so it cancels out his healing.
Yep.
Or, you can get the secret Boktai gun and shoot him with one fully charged sunlight shot and he goes down like a sack of bricks. Sunlight! Secrets are another thing that Metal Gear is really known for, right? Like,
oh my god, like...
There's so much unlockable and extra shit in the game.
So, like, I remember Metal Gear Solid 1, when you first meet Meryl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when she first busts out and she runaways, they do a very specific shot of her swinging fucking hips.
Right. It
later in the game, you have
looks like it's just a butt shot, but
no, later
it comes back.
It comes back because you have to figure out which one Meryl is in a room full of soldiers, and guess what? Only one soldier has some swinging fucking hips.
Yeah, and only one soldier has a distinctive walk cycle.
Mm-hmm. And once she notices you, or like you follow her into the girls' bathroom, if you follow her quick enough, she will not have enough time to change, and she'll just be standing there in her underwear.
Mm-hmm.
It's shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Like another one Meryl specific is they never actually give you Meryl's codex number in game. They tell you have to look on the back of the fucking game case to find it.
Colonel, what's Meryl's codec number? It's on the back of the box, Snake. Like, gee, I'm glad this is in box. And also that I live in a time where the internet exists. But, you know, Metal Gear's got stuff like that. I think there are secret codec numbers you can find.
Oh, yeah, there were. I do remember, I think in 2 or 3, they had codec numbers where you can call off a... I know in 3, they had a codec number to open up the cell door, because the fear would be floating around with it. Yeah,
it's an RFID cell, so you have to like take a number and put it in. Mm-hmm. That's fun. Also, 3's the one where you can. We talked about like camo and stuff. You get secret camo patterns for defeating the bosses non-lethally. You also get certain items on after completing the game once and going through again. Actually, that goes all the way back to the original 1, because depending on whether or not Meryl dies, you get a different ending, and then you get a different item. If Meryl dies, you have an ending with Otacon, and he gives you the stealth camo. If Meryl lives, you have an ending with her, and she gives you the bandana, which gives you fucking infinite ammo.
I love how they reference that in 2.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what happens is after Raiden and Snake meet up, Raiden asks, "Are you gonna be okay?" And he just points to his bandana, and just says infinite ammo. I'm like, Snake! Stop breaking the fourth wall!
Well, yeah, it's Metal Gear, but also that very cleanly references that, yes, canonically, Meryl lives. Duh. Snake said it in 2. He's got his bandana. How else would he have it?
Mm-hmm. Real talk, though, I am
3 had a similar thing after you beat the boss, which is one of the most amazing boss fights of all time.
Oh, God,
you get the Patriot with its infinite ammo because the magazine is shaped like an infinity symbol.
And fighting the boss was kind of heart-wrenching.
Oh, like, yeah, no, it's real thematically rough. Also, it's fucking hard. She's good. Especially if you want to do it non-lethally, because you basically have to... Because I did this within the past couple months. You got to take out your fucking Mosin Nagant, because you're not going to hit her anyways, because she'll just break a handgun.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, like, hide in the flowers, find her, considering there's no real radar system in 3, right? Like, it's all movement-based or sound-based or something.
Yeah,
and you have to find her in... She's wearing white, and hopefully you're wearing white. You have to find her and hit her with a dart, repeatedly. Or you have to try and match her in fucking CQC, which sucks because she's better at it than you.
I think you can still win by CQC.
Yeah, you can. There's like counterattack prompts and stuff, but if you try to just CQC her like you would a normal soldier, she'll fucking kick your ass.
Yeah, she will.
She'll like break your bones a million times and stuff. There are also unique snakes you can tranquilize and capture or kill and eat in that map. Solidus, Liquid, and Solid Snake. Mm-hmm. Literally, in that field, you can eat them. Lots of other fun stuff like that. It's like, you can tell, loads of heart goes into those games.
If there's one thing I will never understand about 3, though, is why was there that long-ass fucking ladder while they sang Snake Eater? That's the one thing. I
think the idea is that's supposed to be, like, so the game can disguise its loading assets for basically the second half of the game.
That makes sense, I guess.
I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be disguising a long-ass load timer. Unlike 4, which did not disguise its load timers. But yeah, no, that was like really confusing, but at the same time really iconic for that game, because it plays the whole theme song and stuff. One of the best. Heaven's Divide is pretty good, but yeah, no, Snake Eater is one of the best Metal Gear songs.
Sins of the Father, though, is top tier, too.
Oh, this was just brought up in chat, which is another good one. In 3, if you kill Ocelot, if you take him out non-lethally, you get a game over because you get a time paradox because he has to live. Perfect fourth wall breaking shit. Yeah, no, they're so good. They're so solid. Ugh. Yeah, I made that pun.
Like, honestly, like, I don't think we're gonna get any more Metal Gear Solids.
No, we're done.
I'm still kind of hoping we get another Metal Gear Revengeance.
Yeah, I don't know what Platinum's deal is, but they developed it. They basically rescued it because Kojima was trying to make it himself, but his team just couldn't make some of the mechanics click, so they gave it to Platinum, and they basically reworked it to make it what it is, which is very memey.
Because I remember when 2 came out, there was super amounts of hate for Jack. Mm-hmm. Super amounts.
Well, specifically, you should say for Raiden, because
oh yeah,
they also call Naked Snake Jack.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, for Raiden, because like, it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have another game with Snake. Okay, we get him for a chapter. Who the fuck is this pretty ass white hair kid?
And Raiden is very particularly written. Some of it might just be a product of translation at the time, but yeah, no, he's written in a particular way. You feel like maybe Kojima's taking a dig at you? I don't know. Probably. Like we said, they're very self-aware games.
But then they like made him go like cyborg and all like, fuck yeah, Raiden, go man.
Yeah, they
have your own game.
Changed his character.
Have your own fucking game. Cut really everything in half. Fucking like suplex Metal Gear Ray. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Though it's not quite as crazy because naturally, Raiden is a cyborg. But in Peace Walker, Big Boss can out bench press a Metal Gear. If it tries to step on you, you can literally do a button prompt to catch it and push back. And if you button mash hard enough, you win. Because Big Boss is just that fucking nuts. Also, Peace Walker has a lot of Monster Hunter crossover shit in it because it was on the PSP. You can hunt like Rathalos and a couple other big names. Yeah, no, it's fucking the self-awareness and the movie tropes are so good in Metal Gear.
Well, I think the combinations of comedy and serious are needed because you need tension and then you need breaks.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear like does that very well because like the thing is it's like you can cause your own tension break. You don't have to like wait on the story. You can just go fuck like especially in Metal Gear like unless you're like trying to aim for a specific code. I don't know about you, but I've never got Foxhound. I've tried.
Oh, let's see if I ever gotten Foxhound. God, I don't know. Probably not.
Like, I think like like the top two are like Fox and Foxhound, I
Yeah.
think, and I don't think I've gotten either of them. I've gotten pretty close. Like I've gotten like no kills, no alerts, but I always got boned on time.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, to get like Foxhound, you have to do no kills,
so to
no
get the
alerts.
best rating. Because the game tracks how long it took you to do it. Almost all of them do this. They track how long it took you to complete the game. It tracks how many people you killed, and it tracks how many alert phases you triggered. So ideally, you want to get the game done fast. No alerts, no kills, which is hard because I remember with 4, I did it softly. I first did a no alerts run with all silenced lethal weaponry. I just made people fucking disappear. And then with non-lethal, I went the other way. I like I said, I loaded up on the shotgun with beanbag rounds and grenade launcher with non-lethal stuff, and just oh, there's a guy, boom, you're unconscious. Boom, you're unconscious. I'm gonna CQC you. You're unconscious, and just not fucking around with alerts. And I use that to build up to the okay. Now I'm gonna go full stealth, but even then, it's real hard because the game rewards patience. So it's hard to get that time down.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing about stealth games. A lot of people say stealth games are hard. It's no, they're not. You're just not patient. Stealth games require you to literally sit at one spot and stare at dudes while they make their rounds until you find the perfect moment to slip by them or take them out. If you don't have the patience to sit down for maybe 15 minutes and make sure you know what's gonna go on, every time you move out, there's gonna be that one guy around the corner you weren't expecting. Every time. Shit! Whose footprints are?
What's the box?
Realist talk though. Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid 1. She was fucking bae.
Yeah, she's great. Especially with her fucking jacket down enough to show her cleavage in the middle of Alaska.
Whoa, girl.
I mean, she puts on a big jacket when she's in outside. She puts on a white parka or something, but still the insides of Shadow Moses are not very warm, except for that one place that's warm. Because that's a fucking mechanic. The key. Vulcan Raven was also a weird fight. That huge dude with a fucking F-15 minigun out of there.
Talking about all native tribal. Decoy Octopus, Vulcan Raven, Sniper Wolf, Revolver Ocelot, Psycho Mantis, Liquid Snake.
They're not coming to mind. I'm trying to think. What are the order of the bosses? Ocelot.
Well, Ocelot. Then you fight Vulcan Raven for the first time.
You fight him in the tank.
And then I think you meet
Sniper Wolf because you have your sniper door.
No. You don't meet Sniper Wolf first because that's when she shoots Meryl.
Oh, right.
And you have to...
Then you have to backtrack, and then you get the sniper rifle and come back.
Yeah.
You actually meet Decoy Octopus fairly early, but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's everybody.
Very iconic.
Oh, man. I think, you had the best interaction. I don't care, tell you, because basically... When you first go to, this area, it's a long-ass corridor, and there's a small minefield, and Meryl's all okay, wait, let me go through this. Fucking Sniper Wolf, legs her. She goes down, and you, literally have to run away. There's no...
You literally will get shot and die if you try to go up to her, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
The game is written so you can't do anything about it until you go back all the way to the first fucking building and get the PSG-1 sniper rifle.
And go all the way back, and by that time, Meryl's gone.
There's just a blood
stain.
And
you're fuck!
And then you have a little tussle with Sniper Wolf. And then you get fucking ambushed anyway. That's when you get tortured by Ocelot. Revolver Ocelot's another great boss because it's close quarters. You have to be careful of all the bombs and stuff. And he fucking bounces his bullets around corners. And his amazing dialogue. 6 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves. There's nothing like slamming a long silver object into a well-greased chamber. Okay, Ocelot, thanks, buddy.
All right, you're a little creepy.
He's the same way when he finally starts using revolvers in 3. He's like, this way of reloading is a revolution. The sensation, because that's one of the few bosses with an explicit ammo counter on screen. It counts how many shots he has. Also, you can shoot his fucking hat off. You can also shoot bees, hornet's nests to rain down on him and make him jump out and stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of fucking artistry in these games. That's one thing I will say is that's something that seems kind of sad about 5. There's there's not that iconic boss work, right? Like,
Yeah, like there are no bosses really in.
there are some hard challenges, like there's the Burning Man, there's the initial run with Quiet is very much set up like a traditional Metal Gear Solid boss, but
Yeah.
they're so spread out. Like, and honestly, Peace Walker's
Like,
kind
even-
of similar, but
Like
it
even
has
the
boss
battle
fights,
with-
but they are all mechanized, right? Like they're fighting either AI weapons or like armored vehicles, which is a whole
like
system
the
built around.
like the biggest, like I said, I'll tell everybody, I haven't beat 5. Like I just can't. Like my heart's not into it. But like even the battle with Philanthropist, like didn't really even have the scope, because guess what? Like you're not like in an enclosed battle with them. You're just like literally driving around the countryside while this thing tries to shoot missiles at you, and I'm just like,
Yeah, because you fight Philanthropist a couple times, right? Because I'm pretty sure I haven't beat the game either, but I've done at least one battle with it.
yeah, I know,
Pretty sure.
I know at least like one, and it's like, yeah. But like Metal Gear Solid 5 does still have some of its moments. Like the moment when you get in the vehicle with Skullface and you're driving as you're like as he espouts his philosophy. I thought that was good.
And you're just
Like
stone faced the
talking
entire
with-
time.
Yeah.
Metal Gear 5 also had all the tapes. That's something I got from Peace Walker 2. Peace Walker's all about data tapes. And because it's on a Sony portable system, they have a fucking... You can research the Walkman in the year 1974 and upgrade it to get more Metal Gear songs to play. Super fun. I love that they did carry that over into 5. Because honestly, that's one of my... The authentic, like, 80s music is one of the coolest things about that. Just rocking through the desert. Listen to, like, Rebel Yell or something. Or, you can do Ride of the Valkyries, which I did for a long time, but I find it way more interesting to hook up P-Quad with You Spin Me Right Round.
I did Kids in America.
That's also
Mostly.
another good one. But just the timing on You Spin Me Right Round is perfect. It's almost always like you call it, you hear it in the distance, you know, and then just as you're about to like get in your helicopter, it's like, you know, starts singing out the chorus, You Spin Me Right Round, baby, and just you fly away, and you're like, yep, this is what I want to project to the middle of Soviet in embattled Afghanistan right now. Just this helicopter blasting You Spin Me Right Round. So we're at almost an hour and a half.
I think I got a lot of my philosophical leanings from Metal Gear. Like Metal Gear Solid was a series that made you think about like society.
It had a lot of philosophical stuff in it. Like even from the start. It's never really been a quote unquote kids game, right? Like a lot of people think
No.
even early games, no, like there's a lot of serious themes in the original Metal Gears, not even Solid, but Solid is definitely, it's like,
Yeah.
now this game's rated M, there's going to be a lot of heavy themes. You're going to talk about nuclear warfare, you're going to talk about like waste disposal, proliferation, you're going to talk about like how can people make weapons, and it's like Otacon has no idea. He wants to build a cool giant robot like his Japanese animes, but you know, people co-opt that design to be like a highly dangerous weapon. It kind of talks about a lot of the dangers of like genetic engineering, because a lot of people thought that genetic engineering was going to be the new nuclear bomb. It never really panned out that way, because guess what? People are hard. Building humans is complex, guys.
And not to mention the UN cracked down on that shit pretty hard.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of regulation, but even then, like, short of like just straight up cloning, which doesn't really do anything for you, because guess what? Clones don't know anything. You'd still have to train them, and you still have to grow them, because we don't have advanced growth or anything, at least publicly anyway. Definitely not at the time Metal Gear Solid came out, but like, yeah, no, it was like I said, building humans is complex, and we did not take off with that as fast as people thought we were.
I still eagerly await the day we can achieve our. Give me animal parts and robot parts.
So actually, honestly, kind of talking about the transhuman future, that reminded me of another point I wanted to get, because I originally talked when I said I had a couple points about Azur Lane I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And one of them I thought you could contribute to. So I don't know about you, Lucky, but especially because I've been doing tabletop gaming for so long, whenever I encounter a new property, one of my early thoughts if I enjoy something is, how do I put this on a tabletop? That's what immediately came to mind. It's like, how do I take these concepts of games and emulate them in like a role-playing game fashion? Like, and always that, honestly, for a lot of works, that can be really good to think about, because you start to think about like how this genre and how these types of stories are built, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, taking like Ship Girls for an example, like, okay, what's the engagement for the where's the player facing aspect of that? Like, what's the engagement there? Like, what's your focus? This is something I thought we could, like, you and me could actually discuss, because, like, I'm immediately, like, I started thinking, how would I turn this into a tabletop? I immediately started crafting a universe, like that. I was like, okay, so you have to justify why are your warships girls and do this and that. Okay, like Girls Frontline, you have T-Dolls because it's post-World War III and also, like, a dangerous virus, so human population is depleted. People don't want to engage in war physically. They have autonomous, or at least mostly autonomous, humanoid robots engage in it using lots of, like, old public domain gun designs.
Yeah, basically with Girls Frontline, it's like all your T-Dolls, they're all basically previous civilian base use that basically got programmed to be really good at one gun.
Yeah, they're optimized for a gun type, which is how, like, that's how they justify some of, like, the personality or visual cues, is like, yeah, no, these were customized. Hey, did you know if you retire a T-Doll, you're not destroying her? They just pull her fire control chips out and send her to do civilian work, because, like we said, humans are depopulated, so there are T-Dolls who work in mines and factories and as waitresses. So you're not being particularly cruel if you get a shitload of dupes and you're like, okay, we're gonna retire you. We can't use. We've got enough of your model. We're gonna pull your.
Yeah, you're not scrapping them. You're just firing them.
Yes, basically, you're like,
or
we don't have room for you in the dorms and the storage space. We're gonna pull your command codes and we're gonna send you to civilian life. We'll pull your dummy core out and keep going. But yeah, no.
Which is nice, personally. I don't like I don't know about you, but I personally do not feel comfortable with, like, literally destroying cute girls
the T-Dolls are very humanized AIs. They can eat and everything. That's why they have rations. Like, they're very humanoid based. But yeah, no. So, like, I immediately start crunching this problem. Like, okay, what's my universe setup? Okay. Why are there girls in the place of warships or planes or tanks or whatever? And can you because most games narrowly focus on one type of combat. Like, it's just like, honestly, even if you take the Mecha Musume aspect out of this, like, if you play, like, World of Warships or World of Tanks or World of Aircraft, right? Like, they build their engine to focus on one aspect. I'm like, but does that actually make sense in a setting? And maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't make sense for, like, your universe to be about warship combat. Like, okay, but what do you do when you have to go and land? Like, did the ships fly over the land too? I mean, sure, why not? But also, like, you gotta think about some of these things.
Well, you gotta also think about, like, specifically, like, if you're thinking about a particular theater, because, like, back in World War II, like, the whole Pacific War, like, that was its own thing, man. You had, like, you had the fighting going on in Europe, but, like, everything over in the Pacific theater was basically entirely naval and maybe a little bit of aircraft when bombing runs were needed.
And then there were a couple of very key,
like, there was the battles in, like, there was, like, the Battle of Iwo Jima.
Yeah, there were a couple cases where rather than just blow up islands, we were like, no, we need to take that fucking island.
Yeah, like, Iwo Jima is, like, like, the most well-regarded one. But, like, yeah, a lot of Pacific islands we used as, like, forward points and supply points. But no, like, all of the Pacific theater was entirely naval battle. So, like, literally, it's just basically where in the setting, like, if you're actually doing a full world war, then you have to think of more than just...
Because the naval component was super important to the European theater, too, but also there was a fuck ton of landmass involved.
Yeah.
Because, like, apart from the Kiel Canal, Germany was, like, entirely landlocked, which makes it so interesting to me that they ended up having quite a powerful navy in a lot of those world wars, because they're mostly a land-based country. But hey, they figured it out. I mean, the Germans basically ran the ship as far as, like, U-boats were concerned in World War I. Underseebooten.
Well, because again, here's the thing. Back in that time area, main shipping and supplying routes were done by sea. Like, if you control sea routes, you had a lot of logistical power, whether it's, like, bringing in your own goods or stopping someone else's goods.
And like, honestly, that's still true today. Like, you can move a lot of stuff by aircraft, but it's volumetrically, the amount of dudes you can cram in a boat is way bigger than the amount of dudes you can cram into a plane. Like, even if you get a big fucking, like, C-130, that's...
Yeah, as I said, like, my ship, like, that I was in, like, 2000, 2005 to 2007, like, guess what? That's what we carry. We carry Marines and Marine equipment. That's how we got them around.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for the USC Iwo Jima, the MPH-2. Troops 2,000 guys, and 25 helicopters. Yeah, no, that's way fucking more than you can fit in like a plane or even a couple. Like, what's the passenger capacity of a passenger aircraft these days? 100, couple hundred?
Couple hundred.
Yeah, no, it's like 10 times as much. And that's just how things are. Also, apparently, I'm being told by patrons in the chat that there's a Japanese Kancolle RPG, or some kind of tabletop
like,
game.
Real talk, I kind of want to get some translated Japanese tabletop RPGs, because they look kind of fucking crazy in some areas.
Listen, the Japanese are just as big as nerds about everything as we are. They got D&D at the same time we did, basically. So they fucking love RPGs. It's just, guess what? They're all written in Japanese, so they don't translate well. Because honestly, if you've ever pick up an RPG core book, they're solid fucking pieces of work. It's all full of like technical jargon. Like, God forbid, I would hate to have been the people translating, like D&D into Japanese. Like, how many times did they have to write in just syllables, right, and be like, okay, so it's called armor class, and here's what that means, type of stuff. Like, God. So yeah, there's a shitload of Japanese RPGs, which are supposed to be pretty good. There are a couple that have been translated to English. There's an English release of the Maid RPG, which is really funny.
Oh my god,
also
it's so fun.
Quite a bit censored. Yeah, no, the Japanese version was a lot more forward about some stuff which were almost assuredly like sex toy items or possible sexual ramifications for, you know, maids. But it was Japan and it was a game about maids. Duh, they're gonna put fetish stuff in there.
Hell yeah, they are. But like, yeah, you gotta remember, like tabletop, like it's like it's as bigger than like fucking Record of Lodoss War was originally based off a tabletop RPG game.
Honestly?
Chaos Head was based off a game between like some big names in the industry. Like, I think Nasu played in the game that Chaos Head was based off of.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Well, and I mean, if you want to talk about Nasu himself, fucking FSN is like super D&D influenced.
Oh yeah. Well, Nasu is just a big fucking game nerd in general. Like, in an interview, he says that's his origin. His origin is games.
He loves games of all types. They need him to stop playing Bloodborne so he writes more. I bet he's still playing Bloodborne. He apparently really liked it. But which makes me shocked that there's not. Once again, we had that conversation about Halloween. Why there's not more Gothic influences in FGO? But I guess
that's the thing that bugs me about like FGO is
maybe he's focused more on
when it comes to seasonal. There's only really summer.
Halloween started as a Christmas, but is another one. But Halloween started as a seasonal, but it quickly got weird.
Yeah.
Valentine's is typically a seasonal event, but there's
seasonal in the fact that like during Christmas and Halloween, you get maybe the one seasonal welfare, maybe like Halloween goes. Summer, you get your summer welfare, and then you have like a couple banners.
No, they turned it into a big thing.
They turned it into a big thing. Like, so I'm kind of wondering why they didn't have that same for.
I don't know. Maybe it's just placement. Because remember, the first year
Halloween.
they basically didn't have a summer banner, right? Like, so they. And I don't know. Maybe summer's like much a big cultural thing because of like in gacha games and stuff. I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But yeah, no, like honestly, if you want to, apart from like, I think. Okay, hold on. Let me pause and think about what I'm going to say here. This is how you can tell our show is not super edited and scripted because I'm trying to say like 5 things at the same time. I think the reason why you see a lot of European-style high fantasy in Japanese anime and stuff, like in light novels and whatever, is because, one, of classic video games, because that's just how RPGs did, but I'm pretty sure, much like they did in the West, that's because those RPGs are fundamentally based on D&D. It all goes back to D&D collectivized certain fantasy tropes in a mechanical game format, and went with it. And honestly, D&D's a derivation. It's based on Chainmail, I think, was the actual war game it was based on. But it was based on fantastical, semi-historic, miniatures gaming, which had been a thing for a while. Miniature war gaming, tin soldiers and stuff like that. But yeah, no. So they made up a system to, like, do less focus on warfare and more focus on individual hero units, and it turned into a whole thing. Yeah. We could have a whole episode about D&D and tabletop games.
Yeah, we kind of.
But no, I think that's
about Azure Lane and how that worked.
Well, yeah. So yeah, like I immediately started thinking about these questions, and I thought to myself, and I'll ask this to our audience, like if you're not that I know a lot of you aren't tabletop players, just from my experience from like the Discord and stuff. I know a lot of people who want to play, and maybe someday we'll get into maybe doing that with the community when we have enough time and content. We can get everybody organized, because God knows we have a hard enough time getting our own groups organized.
Ugh.
But yeah, like so. I think to myself, like, Lucky, what do you think, like, when I say to you, like, I want to do, like, say, an Azur Lane RPG, what do you think, like, the player's role is? Like, what's the best? Like, the obvious insert, if you're going to do a literal translation, if it was literally just Azur Lane the RPG, much like, I'm sure, the Kancolle RPG is like, and it's been described in our chat here, is the players are a commander, right? Like, you're a human who commands one or more ship ladies, is, like, weapons, and you can build rapport with them.
Honestly, like, yeah, I'd say commander, and basically the commander would have basically a whole bunch of social stats that basically influences how well their ship girls like perform their commands. And the ship girls, you basically have a stable of, so you basically have a small character sheet, like they'd be like air quotes equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That basically you would have to, like, when you basically give them a command or an order, depending on how much they like or dislike you, gives them a bonus or minus of any other bonuses.
Which is pretty typical for those games. A lot of those have, like, an affection system, which quite a few tabletop games have done also, is, like, affection and relationship systems and scores. So to me, naturally, what I first thought was, like, because obviously I love Genesis right now. I still love it. It's really great. You could do anything with it. My first thought was, okay, how do I make a Genesis hack of this? So obviously my thought was, I concurred. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna be human players, because that's where the dynamism is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, in Kancolle RPG, you play ship girls. That kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's like that feels maybe a little too on the nose.
See, I can understand why that is, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about tabletop, and specifically human players. Everyone wants to play their own thing, and if you play, like, if you want to have a well-meshing group, everyone has to get to a role and stick to that role, which I have found humans, like players, find really hard to do. People have their own.
Getting groups organized is a whole art. There's a whole art to group templates, pre-game setup, session 0, all that kind of stuff. Like, we could, tabletop podcasts have waxed on that for hours, and we could wax on it for hours still. But there's like a whole art to this.
So yeah, I think it would be better personally, like, if you're just a commander and you basically have your own battle group, so you don't have to worry about making sure that your battle group is not like does the function you want it to, and then you can move like all these commanders.
Which also, that makes sense. Like, you could, because there's always an arbitrary headcount limit, right?
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense to, like, players can balance units. So the thought I had was kind of like an obvious, like, to borrow from Girls Frontline, to be like, okay, so clearly there's some kind of war or something that happened. There's some kind of disaster where humans no longer find it practical or palatable to engage in warfare personally. Like, going out to dirtball countries and shooting each other as humans is no longer either practical or socially acceptable, right? Like, there's got to be a reason why you move to AI-driven platform.
Well, technically that's true nowadays. I mean, we have the
Also
UN who
true.
are like, don't fucking fight people. And people are like, I'm going to fight you anyway. And the UN's like, sanctions! But
we are
so
world police.
So, like, honestly, it probably have to be the point that technology has progressed now. Technology and resources have progressed to the point where this kind of thing is viable. Because I'm pretty sure, like, if we had the technology and resources, like real world, if we had the technology and resources to basically turn war into a third-party game,
and we're trying. We're trying to build autonomous to build drones, but basically, that's the conclusion I came to. Is so, like, okay, so these need to be semi-autonomous. They got to have advanced AIs. Obviously, making brains is hard, so we base them on human AIs, so they're human-like, right? Because apparently that's a theme. There's got to be some kind of vague. Maybe there's, like, recovered alien technology or something that's like we have some kind of breakthrough that's very technically advanced, so that allows us to do more fantastical things like maybe weapon miniaturization or other weird stuff. Like you'd see like basically like super robot caliber stuff, but instead of being Gundam type super robots, they're cute girls. Right, that's sort of like justification for different weapons.
Easier to relate to, or something.
Some of that, or also I thought maybe the aliens were like, this is a justification I think of a lot, for like when you try to think about, okay, how do you justify a mostly female cast? There's a lot of stuff like maybe the aliens were mostly like fundamentally biologically female, so it's way easier to like translate the technology into a female. Maybe the designer of the technology for humans was a woman, so all the most advanced AI research is based on shit she did, so like male generation AIs and bodies are like a couple tech steps behind, so maybe they don't engage in frontline combat. I feel like what was the justification in Nier Automata? Was it just that male androids were kind of, or at least male Yorha androids were kind of unmanageable, hence why they were all like 9S types?
Because it's like basically the female were combat types, and basically the information types were all boys. Like, that's what I remember. I don't actually remember if there was a specific reason. I think
there was like a plot thing they explained it at some point, but there's a lot of fucking stuff going on near Automata.
Yeah,
there's like
there is.
5 different endings, and I'm still not done with it because, oh my god.
Let's see here.
Listen,
and on chat it says the male combat units were too easily to be emotionally virus.
I mean, I can see that. There's like certain things about like differences between male and female psychology, like depending on how literally you translated that, because apart from their certain immortality-ness in that they're able to be replicated from like black boxes and stuff, the Nier Automata androids are like super advanced and human-like, which is obviously another thing you need for this sort of stuff. Because obviously, if you're going to be waifuing war machines, they have to be waifuable. And while yes, humans will personify fucking anything, like to have a genuine, real connection, there needs to be something back and forth, right? So that's obviously what I thought of as like, okay, so they're humanized to like relate with people, and that's kind of like how we develop the technology. Why commanders and stuff like that? Well, obviously, people don't like fully autonomous units. Because I'm building a fucking genre here, man. God. I'm getting crap about why are they mostly ladies, because that's how the games are made. I'm talking about emulating a genre. We can get into the discussion of like the pluses or minuses of why male units or why not. Because if there would be male units, they'd all be male. Because that's much psychologically easier for war to deal with, is to make men do it. That's, it starts with the physicality of just, in general, male like body development is they tend to have more body strength and endurance and stuff like that. We tend to have more aggressive mindsets, or be easier to get into aggressive mindsets, because that's like super prehistoric social structures and shit, right? So if,
as I said, like I like to tell people, we're still animals. We still have instincts. We still operated on like fucking chemical reactions, people. And
so if you're like, if you come up with the justification for why dude units can be doing all the fighting, it would be genderless, or they would be all male, because that's just how people would deal with it, right? Like they'd be like, yeah, okay, so you have to come up with stuff. And yeah, that's a good idea, that maybe you have to be downsized. I was thinking like along the lines of like for whatever reason you pick, male units are not suitable for frontline combat, whether that's just if you give them combat AIs, they're just huge assholes. They're basically like alpha Chad douchebags. Because that is the thing that happens with humans. If you get dudes on like a certain level of machismo and testosterone, they get real asshole-ish.
They do.
That's a thing I've heard as like a justification for other stuff. So like they're not good to be programmed for combat. Another thing could just be like they're a couple generations behind, so like you don't want to use them for frontline combat because their like subsystems aren't as advanced, so they're better as like adjutants and stuff. Maybe they do a lot of simple tasks, because manual labor is another thing that people are much more comfortable with dudes doing.
Oh yeah.
Not that women can't do it. It's just that's just how a lot of our society's been built. There are a lot, like World War II obviously had a thing for like Rosie the Riveter. Like women did lots of mechanical and technical and just manual jobs, and which kind of shook up our social structure a little bit. We've talked about that before. How like that totally changed a lot of social dynamics for people. But like,
Mhm.
I feel like just a lot of common programming is like God, if you saw ladies working hard chopping down trees, you'd be like, I mean, maybe if she was like super buff, but robots don't have to be super buff. They would just be
Yeah.
like cute robots. Like you'd wonder to yourself, man, that looks like it's a pain, even though she's a robot. It doesn't matter. If you see a giant dude lumberjack robot, you're like, yeah, that's good. And obviously, if you wanted to take this to a social commentary place, which I don't always recommend because ultimately tabletop games are a form of entertainment, you could totally do some shit about dynamics like, God, if you want to
Like,
comment
honestly,
about power
like,
dynamics and relationships, like the fact that the human commander is, at best, he's just a really cool spec ops soldier dude, right? Like, sure, he's like jacked to shit, but these are like, you know, high-powered robot ladies with giant cannons, right? Like, you could make some commentary about power dynamics and relationships.
Oh yeah.
We're not intrinsically doing that,
I was
though.
gonna say
I'm just spitballing ideas, right?
Like honestly, like my quickest justification is that ships have generically always been referred to as female.
It's super common in a lot of Western cultures.
Yeah, like
And so
honestly,
obviously,
that
the person designing a system would think, well, she's based off a warship, so naturally it's a lady, right? That's just how it works. And to me, I think that it would be better to think of this as somehow like the setting should be generic, and you should accept like land, sea, and air units depending on what you want to do. So why are commanders a thing? Because
like honestly, what I would do is I would make land and air things like special abilities. Like you could call in an airstrike.
yeah, that
like,
could be a mechanical way to represent it. Because especially if you're building, if these are literally anthropomorphized warships, you have to make aircraft carriers feel as big of a deal as they are. Because oh my god, the invention of the aircraft carrier completely changed naval warfare.
Oh my god.
In World War I, carriers were super primitive. It was all about battleships, dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, like big fucking armor boats with huge guns blasting the shit out of each other from very far away. By the time the number 2 rolled around, especially in the U.S., but several other nations caught onto this, we realized, God, the ability to strategically force project with aircraft carriers is phenomenal because aircraft carriers can shoot down aircraft, they can blow up ships, they can also blow up land, they can do all the stuff a battleship can do, but much more flexibly and efficiently, because you can just build a giant fucking boat that stores planes, and planes do all the heavy lifting. And it completely changed warfare. The fact that the U.S. is still such a dominant military power is because our force projection is crazy. You put a carrier
groups
group
that have at least like like I remember at Iwo Jima we had like 2 LHDs, a carrier, and a couple of destroyers. We had a submarine fucking somewhere. Oh my god!
But you never even saw or heard those shifty fuckers.
Okay, so fun story time. And it's like I was in deck department. I was a boatswain's mate. So things I mostly did when we were deployed is I either piloted the ship. Yes, I piloted the fucking ship. I basically got to put my hand. You don't get a fucking giant steering wheel. It's like a little fucking airplane rotor thing. That's all you get. It's very, very underwhelming. But
so you were Mr. Sulu,
or I was on lookout, and there was always a fucking bet. If you could find a submarine, you got off lookout duty because you were apparently that fucking good. You basically had to spot the feather in the water. That was a code name for finding a submarine. If you found our submarine, you got off lookout.
I want to imagine that
no one ever got off lookout.
Probably exactly, but I want to imagine if you do actually see the submarine, that means somebody on your boat calls the fucking submarine is like, "Hey, assholes, we can see you. We're not supposed to be able to do that."
It was like the thing, but guess what? No one ever fucking found the submarine.
Nope.
It was just like this shadowy thing out there. It's like, there's a submarine out here somewhere, guys.
Sub warfare is a whole entirely different thing, and it changed in World War II. In World War I, subs are fucking scary. Like German subs especially are just phenomenally just fucking your shit up. Like that's why we had to move to convoy movements and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the original definition of destroyer is submarine destroyer.
Yeah, like I think
they were specifically
like destroyers were the only ones who were like equipped with like copious amounts of depth charges.
They had to invent an entirely new classification of ship to be like, okay, you're going to carry a fuck ton of depth charges. You're gonna get all our prototype like sonar and hydrophone type shit, and
Yeah,
we're
destroyers
gonna
don't
make
have a
you
lot of like ship-to-ship
small enough
combat,
to
if
make
I'm
them
remembering it.
cheap enough so that we can stick like 5 of these in a convoy and be like, if you see a submarine, you fucking ruin his day. By World War II, depending on your field, once again, planes became a thing, and some oceans are very clear, guys. So with the submarine technology at the time, it was very easy for like a recon plane who can stay up there for like a shitload of hours. Some World War II planes are remarkably fuel efficient. You can just park an asshole on a radio and a pair of eyeballs and be like, well, yep, no, in grid 22, I see a German U-boat. Go rustle up some torpedo bombers or something, and we'll ruin this guy's day before he even knows what the fuck is going on because he's underwater and he can't see.
Oh my god.
Modern subs are
anyone
terrifying, though.
I don't
because
care. Like,
because
wanted me to
nuclear power makes them basically, indefinite runtime. We've got super advanced stealth machines.
Like, I won't lie. Like, being on the concept of being on a sub kind of fucking terrifies me.
Oh yeah, no, you would in a million years.
Like, yeah,
I like.
being on a sub
like
in like World War I or World War II. No, just fucking no.
No, subs are bad news. Like, listen, I mean, okay, so I can get seasick. I'm not like universally, but like I don't like the ocean. Obviously, some of that would be like being under the waves would alleviate some of that, but at the same time, but then you're like, but then I'm fucking underwater in a tin can. Like, why the fuck am I here? Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was relating to. Is like, what would you even do for submarines, right? Would that be like a special thing? Now the beautiful thing about most of these borrow from World War II stuff. They don't have a lot of sub action. But like the idea of like submarines as like literal submersible war units, who can like pop in and out of water, and they probably have stealth abilities. That'd be very fun. That could be a fun thing. But yeah, so I was thinking like a semi-unified system where like fundamentally any of these can be used, and maybe you have like different tiers of units. Like hey, you don't need to send a ship girl to do Delta Force shit. You send Delta Force guys to do that, but if you're like, but humans don't do that stuff anymore, you're like, well, now you need Delta Force tactical raifus. So like you could tier it maybe, and one of the things I thought was like, okay, so commanders are important because even if it turns out to not be a bad idea, fictionally speaking, humans have basically spent decades of pop culture programming ourselves to be like, fully autonomous weapons are a bad idea. Because what do you do when you can't turn the weapon off? So you would need commanders to have like command authority to be like, yeah, no, you can bomb that coastline. And also there's another great thing that's very common in like computer theory. Computer programming is very rigid. We can do certain amounts of heuristic processing, but that takes input to learn. So computers, especially depending on how detailed they are, have to basically be programmed to do stuff like, yeah, a computer can beat a guy at chess every time, but that's because the computer can make a bajillion calculations a minute and pick the perfect chess play to do, because chess is actually a solved game, and theoretically, if you could remember like the list of literally every possible chess play and pick, you would win chess every time. That's how chess computers win, because they can do that. Humans can't do that. What a human can do is can be like given a completely different set of rules and go like, oh, okay, I understand how to play this game. A computer can't learn new games on the fly. Somebody has to like code it to do that, basically. So that's why human commanders are important.
Know yourself.
I feel like Sun Tzu was also. I used to have a lot of Sun Tzu's rules of war printed out somewhere, but I took them down because it was just like cheap printer paper. But yeah, no.
Sun Tzu.
Read the fucking. Is it 72 stratagems or is it 20 stratagems? Whatever. He has a core number of stratagems.
By him, and then his son wrote another one. I can't remember what the fuck it's called though.
The core tactical stratagems from Art of War. Fucking read them. They
apply to like real world shit too. Like honestly,
there's a reason why the Art of War became like a business fad, because the stratagems are universal. Like they are. You know, I can look some of them up now. The 36 stratagem. They're the core element of Art of War. But yeah, no. So it's very important to do this kind of stuff. But yeah, so like you need a human aspect in there, obviously. So what I thought was like, okay, so if we want to tier this, maybe maybe for like security reasons, individual person can only hold so much command authority, right? So like maybe one guy can have like 2 super ultra awesome high power warships, right? Like you can only field a couple of like giant battlecruiser based robot ladies because they can like level cities if you went rogue and so on. So like you can't have one person commanding all of them. Like you could represent it as like a point system mechanically.
And like also, you know, it takes resources to build these girls. I mean, you can't just build like fucking big girls all the fucking time.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like that sort of thing. Like, as a human being, and both logistically and practically, you could only be entrusted with we can only invest so much resources into one dude, because you're still just one person making orders, and you gotta have chain of command and stuff like that. So like, yeah, no, it's obviously like you wanna work this out. So.
And also, you also want a human element because remember, computers are usually very straightforward. They aren't tricky. Like, if you want to add, if you want to get the drop on another human, you have to use another human. Because remember, this is basically battle by proxy now.
Right. And obviously, if you want to avoid the humans fighting humans by proxy problem, if you want to. Which you don't necessarily. I'm just saying, like, theoretically, there's a couple justifications. Like, maybe much like Girls Frontline, there's a rogue AI war machines faction out there who are like this is why we can't have fully autonomous war machines, because they go fucking independent and they try and kill us. So, like, that could be a thing. Especially if, like, Girls Frontline has a lot of zones which are, like, depopulated because of like the virus and stuff. So that's a good thing for this type of setting where you can have very varied geology where you're not getting people in the way. The aliens or something like that is also another great excuse. Azur Lane has that. Ultimately, there's some kind of weird Cthulhu ship girls out there who I haven't run into in the story, but they're secretly behind why there's a war between human factions. I'm sure that'll be our end game content. We'll be fighting them.
I won't lie, I'm kind of angry because like I really like the enemy designs in Kancolle and Girls Frontline. I'm like, I want them though.
At least I don't know about
give me these bad girls.
Kancolle, but in Girls Frontline you can get like wallpapers and icons for some of the enemy designs, which is pretty neat. But yeah, no, like some of them are fairly exclusive to the enemy.
I'm like, and it makes
which
me
is
mad 'cause I want
almost a shame because a lot of them are like original content, right? Like they're not based on real world weapons. They're just wholly original designs.
They're based on like themes. Like you have like Hunter, you have a Destroyer, Agent, Dreamer.
But they
aren't names like that.
They aren't specialized like your type of T-dolls are to be like, okay, you are the M4A1 T-doll.
Yeah.
You were made to go with the M4A1, and obviously those are like special unique. So that's the thing, like command authority and like build up. Logistics is an important thing to like fill out your rosters, and this is about as far as I got was like thinking of like what's our core mechanic. It's Mecha Musume. It's Mecha girls fighting either other Mecha girls or some other kind of autonomous weapon.
Do you know what I see this game doing best as? Like honestly, a miniature game.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. There's always like there's so much you could do with that.
Like miniatures game, I think like would probably suit this the best personally.
Right.
Kind of make it like a X-wing.
Yeah, that could be a thing, and God knows maybe there is a. Also, actually, the better example would be not that you've played it, but Armada, which is the fleet battles game, where like fighters are like tiny figurines and you go to big stuff like that. That is one of the things I constantly lament is that EA has an exclusive license, and even if they didn't, Disney's not going to give Japanese developers a shot. So there are no cute Star Wars girls games coming out of anywhere in Japan or China right now.
There's art of it though. Guys, if you have a chance, go look up like Star Wars ship girls or something. It's fucking cute. I fucking love it. No,
I fucking love it. It'd be great. It would be amazing. They'd sell so much. They'd make so much fucking money because so many people would wail for like Executor Chan or Chimera Chan. And at least with something like a Kancolle or like an Azur Lane where like you use named ships. There's a lot, like, I mean, Armada has this they have a certain type of upgrade called a title, which is always unique, which is, okay, this is not just a generic Star Destroyer, this is the Avenger, or this is the Devastator, right? Like, it's the same with other ship classes, so, like, that would be a wealth of information to pull off for stuff. And I don't know, like I said, Kancolle's really said a lot of stuff on this in terms of traits, but I haven't played it. I know there are a couple small unique options for, like, support ships in Azur Lane, like, there is actually like a repair ship there's one repair ship at least like in that class. I don't know what they do, but they probably repair ships.
Probably.
But you could, with Star Wars anyway, you could definitely do a thing like this. I will say this is the one thing though that thinking about from like a role playing standpoint, like what you said, like classes or configurations, I do think you would have to come up with a generic system, because like you said, players like to customize, right? If that's your role, so you would not want to. You would not necessarily want to force players to be like, no, you have to pick, as a hypothetical, you have to pick, like, Yorktown. She looks like this. She has these stats exactly. So it would be like, okay, so you can get an aircraft carrier class or maybe like a heavy carrier or a light carrier, and you can, like, set certain preferences for this.
The thing is, like, you basically design, let's say you can get, like, you can get up to 5 ships up to a certain point value.
Mm-hmm.
You basically get to pick what type they are. You get to give them special equipment, and then you can give them a name and personality,
right?
Which will then affect their relationship to some things. It makes it harder for them to do other things.
Mm-hmm. Which, and that makes sense. And honestly, like we talked about earlier, like personality types. Like we know they do that to sell stuff, but at the same time, that totally affects how certain players bond with certain units, right? Like I mean, it's the same in FGO. It's like I wouldn't be as cool with nearly as many of these ships or guns or historical figures if they didn't also have neat personalities, right? And some people are like, I like this unit mechanically, but I can't stand this person's fucking personality.
Like, so basically the human commander would basically have like a personality type that, you know, you have bonuses in. So maybe like you have like stats like kindness or strict kindness.
Yeah, I like to think like
comedy, something like those that like
this is something certain one roll engine games do, is they have like those attitudes that are like on a spectrum. Like you have like I'm trying to think of the ones from like Better Angels. There's like selfishness versus generosity, for example, is a stat score, and you can't they can't overlap, and they like come out of the same pool. So like if you gain a point of selfishness, you might lose a point of generosity, so your generosity scooches over to your selfishness, right? So like you could build a point with some like a dot system. Oh, remind me of fucking the White Wolf games. God, I miss Scion. I should check out if Scion 2nd Edition is any good. But filling those fucking dots in. And that's how you would like cycle back and forth between personality traits. And obviously we talked about this earlier. The obvious one that comes to mind, like, hey, guess what? If you play a commander who's got a masochist personality type, those darned sadistic smug ship girls are gonna love you because they're gonna bully you, and you're gonna be like, yes, I like this. And this is a comment to like a lot of our Discord. Unlike a lot of these mobile games do, where as a player character you are super faceless, you have your interactions with the characters are very structured. The role playing, you could actually have like a real interaction. You could be like, okay, that's too far, or that's like, no, that's like, yeah, no, this is the sort of relationship I like, kind of thing, and kind of go back and forth like that, which is one of the true benefits to like a lot of role playing stuff. Is sure, computers don't automate certain things for you, which is why you always have to be careful with your mechanics, right? Like, I'm a firm proponent in most systems of keeping it simple. Like, you can have complex mechanics and lots of crunch, but it should be very focused. That should mean there's a simulation you have to have, and everything you don't have to have, don't simulate. Just let role-playing handle it.
Well,
or let your generic mechanics handle it. I was going to bring up
earlier about fucking players. Players as a whole, I said there's always outliers, want the easiest way to beat the easiest and efficient way to defeat the enemy so they can get sweet shit.
Yeah. Well, some players do. Like there's a couple of common player archetypes. Like if you're playing for the sake of playing, and especially if we turn this into like a miniatures thing, there would be a lot of like I can't remember what WAC, win at all costs. WAAC. In all caps. That's a term in tabletop gaming that you hear a lot. It comes out of Warhammer 40k, I think, where like, oh yeah, no, like these they'll find the broken mechanics and they'll spam it. Some people are like that. Some people play role playing games hardcore for the role playing, like to the point of which where they will do dumb shit that makes no sense mechanically because they are so into playing their character, and they can do self-destructive stuff, and you can even push this too far to be like, okay, dude, you're being dumb. You're like, my character is such this way, and they're so rigid that you aren't participating with like the group or the story or whatever, which is really annoying.
And that goes back to, you know, creating a group that works together, which can be hard.
Right.
Sometimes.
So, like, you want to build a system that can robustly handle a couple of those things, and you definitely want to, like, you want to reward flavorful decisions, but at the same time, like, you don't want to be, like, pure flavor. Like, especially in this case, you want to be like, yeah, no, like, obviously you have advantages. And that's another reason why point-buy systems can be good in this case, because you can be like, okay, you can't afford, like, one of everything, right? Like, you can't build the equivalent of entire carrier group on your own. You can pick, like, a carrier and a couple escorts, but not, like, you're not going to fit, like, full-blown support ships and stuff, which can make sense from, like, from a narrative standpoint if you're like, yeah, no, we can't have just one human dude in charge of all these scary robot ladies who can entirely support themselves.
Yeah.
Right, like, that makes sense from a logistical standpoint. So, yeah, that's what I got. If you guys want to see us do more out of this, be sure to let us know, because God knows it doesn't take much for Omega to start making a homebrew of something. Jesus fuck.
We're still trying to get, like,
We are. We're really trying. And in fact, I think not after, like, this weekend, but I think if we go for another week or two and we can't get a hold of Ron, we might have to cut him out. And maybe, like, let him drop back in when he has time. Because,
like, honestly, me and Marv can fucking buddy cop this shit.
I mean, when we talked about, like, I mentioned their Fantasy Flight Games is releasing a Clone Wars book for their Star Wars RPG. I'm like, I've got to run a Clone Wars game. I will do it. You can't stop me. I can even start thinking of, like, the setups. Like, if you guys want to play clones, if you want to play Jedi, I got a thing. We'll give you, yeah, it's the whole thing. Like, that's me. Also, Lucky, you may enjoy this, but I've been listening to actual play games of Only War again, which is the Imperial Guard-focused 40k RPG. That spurred me to do a lot of revolutionary work on Mages of War, so it's entirely possible that bug might bite me, and I'm like, I can finish out these last couple enemy templates. Maybe. There's a lot more fantastical than they are military, but still, it puts me in the right frame of mind.
I fucking love Mages of War. I fucking love it.
It's so good. We should play it again. There's so much stuff I never got to play test. I should, well, I have a random mission generator. I should maybe just cram some missions or some settings out and, like, play test them. You've got some characters in your back pocket, right?
The what?
You got some player characters in your back pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just some weekend if we have time, which is really weird for us to say these days because I feel like we almost never have time. We have to, like, make time, but still, like maybe if we don't hook up with, like, Ron and do, like, Sky of Hope, I can just be like, I'm just gonna roll randomly on the table, and we can, like, kit bash some Mages of War out or something. I don't know.
Like, honestly, I think it'd be fair if we, like, honestly started Sky of Hope over again. Like, we don't have to keep going, and maybe try again. We can try to do a proper episode 0.
For a lot of character because reasons. You can listen to the whole thing, audience. There's like 50 minutes of it. I tried, but
awkward.
It's
awkward.
It's very awkward. Yeah, it was awkward for me. It totally threw me off my game, which is a shame, but it did. But yeah, no, like, I'd love to do that some stuff. Star Wars is a thing we will definitely run again. I will definitely do Mages of War again because that's another homebrew that I made. That like I didn't build it from the ground up. That's, like I said before, that's an iteration of, like, it started as a Halo RPG that I play tested with some people that was basically loosely based on the 40k RPGs that I mentioned. I turned that into an XCOM RPG, which never got played a lot, but there's an actual play on our channel. Totally check it out. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to build my own urban fantasy World War I. Oh, no, Genesis is not about mecha inherently. It's a generic system, as was asked in our comment, which is good.
Basically, you take
all the mecha parts, I did that. Oops, I got loud there, sorry. I leaned into my microphone. Don't worry, hopefully in post that'll get evened out. If it's not, I'm sorry. But yeah, no. The mechanics are a generic system. The mechanics are a generic system, and all the mecha anime tropes I built into that, both from, like, character archetypes, which is the playable character types, the careers, specific pieces of gear, and I figured out how to build giant robots in the system, which isn't too hard because it's very streamlined and all right. I did have my notes to talk about some anime maybe, but I don't think we're going to turn these into full topics because we've been going for over 2 hours and it's almost midnight and I got to fucking put this out sometime.
Yeah.
It's great. I just talked about I turned my sleep around and I'm like, nope, I'm going to fuck it up again because we're going to record What's Up. But hopefully this conversation was productive. I did want to mention that I watched the first episode of Angle. I like it a lot.
How are you feeling about it?
It's good. The visuals are a little much sometimes. Like that filter over everything that makes it look like it's on a canvas. It's a little intense sometimes, but very stylized.
Yeah, sometimes you don't notice it, but sometimes you're just all like, whoa.
All right, guys, you left the filter turned up too high. I also watched the first episode of Haruka Receive, the beach volleyball anime. I'm a little cooler on that. It's like, I mean, it's interesting. Like, some of the aesthetics are really good. Like, people are going to be like, Omega, you watch a beach ball anime. I bet I know what you're looking at. You're like, no, you're wrong. I'm looking at those girls' eyes because, holy shit, the detail and coloring on the eyes of some of these characters, it's like, whoa. You get lost in there.
Just in general pop a lot.
Oh, yeah, no, it's like aesthetically pleasing, but the first episode seemed kind of generic. It's like, well, it seems... I mean, I'm comparing it to Hanabata, which I watched first, which is like, oh my god, that's so fucking intense. Like, every week I want to talk about Hanabata just at least a little bit. For this episode, I will reserve it to, holy shit, Ayano, what the fuck? Like...
let's try to Hanabata. It's like, here's the thing. Did you feel bad for pink hair twin tail girl?
A little bit, yeah, because fucking Hanasaki's like a robot. She is a badminton machine, and she's terrifying. When she puts
guess what? This is a monster that she fucking created.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Hanasaki fucking lays that out to her. She's like, I'm grateful to you. You were the reason I am who I am today. Which is entirely true, because Twin Tails totally fucked that up for her.
Yeah.
Though at the same time, I feel like from what we've seen of Hanasaki's mom, I feel like there's a little bit of, like...
I think there's some
children's
miscommunication.
Perspective on this, right? Like, yeah. I feel like when we run into her, she's going to be like, oh, she's perfectly nice, just she's super focused on badminton, so she's been, like, going around training people, right? Like,
yeah, because she's shown up at the game. She's there.
She's not, like, full-blown abandonment, just like, gee, guess what? She's, like, a 10-time badminton championship. Badminton's a big chunk of her life, right? Like, yeah. I feel like they're gonna make that a little gentler than it seems, but they're playing it up a little bit because it builds the drama in these characters who are still, you know, kids in school. But no, they're like I love that Elena fucking called Hanasaki out left and like, hey, there's such a thing as having respect for your opponent, and she's like, but strength is the only thing that matters. I have scary eyes now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, girl, calm down.
And I was kind of like, bullshit. Did you see how that girl treated her before that? There was clearly no respect there.
Well, also there, right? Like she was clearly giving as good as she got, but, like, at the same time, right, like, it's a learning experience for one of those two characters, and it's really not a learning experience for the other, in a scary way. But goddamn, that's what I mean, Haruka Receive is a little cold to me, because that Hanabado, which in the manga is just Hanabad, it's just... oh my god, like, from moment one, it's like, this is well animated, it's moving visually, it's gripping, and there's just so much tension and drama. There's also lighthearted moments, like we talked about breaking tension before, it does that perfectly, but just, like, you are sucked in right away. Like, perfectly.
Well, see, I treat Haruka Receive as, like, this is, like, my happy floaty time, where I'm just
I feel
relaxing.
like I definitely could use, like, maybe I'll use it as, like, a palate cleanser, because I haven't watched any more Banana Fish yet, but I'm gonna...
that's why I
feel
use
like
it.
from the opening, Anglomois, or Anglomosis, or whatever it is also going to be maybe a little... I mean, a lot of fucking guys died in the first episode. So many dudes just got heads chopped off and stuff and just stabbed for no reason. I'm like, okay, all right, I see where this is going.
Like, that's why I'm using Haruka Receive is. I'm using it because it's something that's light, it's colorful, it's happy, no one gets really upset.
This is another thing I'll say.
It's something. It's a mood buoyant.
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, like a palate cleanser. That's very important. Like when you eat certain foods, you have to like cycle your palate out. You drink some water or drink a little something or to accent the food, right? Entertainment is just the same. You have to like.
Yeah.
I don't go from Devilman Crybaby to fucking I don't know. I mean, realistically, I don't go from Devilman Crybaby to anything because I'm fucking dead. I'm just dead. Man, but here's a good example. I didn't go from Devilman Crybaby to fucking Killing Bites, okay? Like, I took a second because I needed some space in my life.
Let me just lay down here on the floor and, like, question everything that is my life.
No, that's how Devilman Crybaby... I referenced this earlier. We did a whole episode breaking down Crybaby when we did Anime Power Hour. We talked about it for literally an hour. Go look that episode up. Oh, man. No, I'm thinking about it. Nope, I'm still not over it. No,
I'm still not over it. Nope, I'm tearing up.
No, it makes you stop and question your life.
You'd be surprised how many people do not like Devilman Crybaby. Because a lot of people say it's like too much, too serious, and like too out there.
I mean,
because it came out like over half a year ago. It came out like January on Netflix?
It came out earlier. I think it actually technically came out in like the tail end of December, but it was close enough that basically it was like January before anybody actually realized what it was. It was like, it's the new year. And they're like, oh shit, this is good.
Yeah. And you know, just collecting people's like input like half a year later, people are like, no, I don't like it. It was too intense. I'm all like, it's like I couldn't handle it. I'm all like, damn.
I can see that though. The thing I liked about Devilman Crybaby, which is what I saw a lot of, like when people were talking about it, they were like a buzz about it on like Twitter and stuff, just how I knew to watch it. People were like, oh yeah, no, this like right away, this gets in you. And I said this when I watched the first episode. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is immediately like, hey, guess what? If you don't like blood or you don't like animated boobs or whatever, you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm out. That's too much for me. I could see that immediately. But like, if you watch the whole thing and you're like, man, that was too intense, I'm like, I know, but that was the point. That's why it still hurts me. It hurts so good. It was the right kind of intensity. I could feel like if people were used to maybe more like the campier Devilman stuff, I could see why they didn't like it. Also, somebody I saw had some good criticisms where they were like, I watched a like dark and out there and edgy anime in the past, and they'd be like, so this wasn't necessarily like fresh and new to me. I could totally see that. Like, not like edgy like Sonic the Hedgehog type, like, look how many edges I have. Like, not like cheesy stuff, but actually like groundbreaking cutting content, right?
Yeah.
I could see if somebody was used to some of that, like if they went out of their way to watch that stuff, they'd be like, Devilman Crybaby didn't really hit anything new for me. But like for me, it's like, fuck yeah, no, this is the good. You can find my tweets about it somewhere, I'm sure, in my tweet record. But yeah, no, like
pulling up into a fucking sports car, giant ass fluffy white coat, just pulls out a gun, rips open the dog. You're like, so this is setting the goddamn tone for the rest of the series, ain't it?
Yeah, no.
Like,
I think my first tweet was like 1 minute of watching. I was like 5 minutes of watching Devilman Crybaby. What the fuck am I watching? Like, 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, because that would be like about the time you get to the nightclub scene. After like 20 minutes, the episode's basically done. I'm like, oh, this is that good shit. Because it is. It's like, for me, it's just a complete package. And we're fucking talking about Devilman Crybaby again. Oh my god. It's the power of Devilman. But yeah, no, like I said, like, you need palate cleansers. I can see how to kind of doing like that. Also, another thing that I immediately thought watching how to kind of receive, well, boy, this anime is real gay. And I don't mean,
what was that?
I should always say that. I never mean that in a bad way when I say that this anime is real gay. Did you catch it that time, Lucky?
This is pissing me off because you keep cutting out whenever you're saying the thing that you're trying to say. I'm like, what are you saying?
I can type it. I'll type it in mod channel to make sure it gets through.
Please. Oh, yeah, no.
Like I said, I say this before. That's not a bad thing. I don't mean that it's just like, it's, to me, that's still something that's like, that's not a given. So that's like, oh, no, I'm definitely picking up on those themes here. Like, I feel the same way about Banana Fish, right? Like, even if you didn't tell me it was boys' love, like, from the content, I'd be like, yeah, no,
I want to say it's boy loves. It's definitely shonen ai, though.
Well, yeah, shonen ai type stuff. I mean, shonen ai literally means boy and love.
Yeah, but
so,
but BL like, has a different connotation to shonen ai.
There's different, like, I guess,
do I have to go get the Fujoshi?
No, but no, I get that somebody's gonna slaughter me for this because you could take it as a pun, no pun intended. But there's a certain hardness or softness of genres, right? Like, not all sci-fi is the same level of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is literally referred to as hard versus soft sci-fi. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But yeah, no, like you can tell this was a shonen ai story. But even if you hadn't told me that, but like, no, I'm picking up the themes right away. Harukana definitely gave me the same thing. I'm like, girls volleyball, we're talking about the importance of partners. There's a lot of embarrassment about being close. Nope, this is pretty gay. Nothing wrong with that, but boy, okay.
Personally, I like it. I think it's an upper because, you know, they're having this good time, like, discovering your relationships. I'm like, yeah!
Yeah, no, that's definitely, like, that has, like, a classic, like, summer movie feel, right? Like, you go to someplace different and you, like, you learn things about yourself, maybe it can be about your relationships or whatever, your sexuality, however you want. Maybe you just learn about stuff you like to do in life. But no, that's a solid, like, coming-of-age type story. I think that's cool.
It's like, there's another anime that I, like, still have to watch, which is called Citrus, which is the full gay between two girls. It's like, this girl moves to a new town.
Right.
She meets her stepsister. They, like she falls in love with her, and it's all, like, the whole relationship.
Now, I've heard that anime for Citrus is a little raunchier, a little more straightforward in some of the and forceful in some of the stuff. Like some of the subtext is lost.
Yeah.
In the transition, which is why I didn't watch it at first, because people were like, I watched it, and I'm like, boy howdy, you're reminding me of scenes that may be uncomfortable in certain other series, like Kill la Kill.
It's like I want to watch it still. It's still on my queue. It's just one of those things.
I mean, yeah, I've heard stuff about it. God, that sounds interesting because like they even say that like the main character of Citrus I've read is like she's like a Gyaru like archetype. Like she's that kind of like fashionable girl with light hair, short skirts, kind of like rebellious fashion stuff, and then the love interest is like the student council president, and she's like super straight-laced. I'm like, God, that sounds like a really interesting dynamic. It's just, I don't necessarily want to have,
it's like I'm not in that mood for that because I got
X put it very bluntly. Citrus is kind of rapey. I'm like, nope, that's what I heard about the anime. The manga's supposedly a little more gentle about it, and it's written by a woman.
Oh.
So maybe we'll pick up the manga if the anime is too intense. I certainly wouldn't mind checking it out though.
Yeah.
Citrus, though, I feel like is one of those like, it's a very slice of life story, so you have to know it's about like gay themes going in, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Because every anime has a hook, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, Hanabado is a little bit gay, but it's not like you're not like, oh no, I'm noticing the gay themes. It's just like there's a lot of female characters in doing physical stuff and being in certain amounts of intimacy, so you're like, a little bit. Maybe just between a couple of characters, there's some themes, there's some feels, which is okay.
Yeah, there's some romantic subtext. Fucking.
And I mean, there's some. I feel like in recent episodes, there's some romantic subtext between some of the girl players and the couple of like dude players on the team, which
I definitely
came out of nowhere.
Be a
like,
love triangle,
whoa,
or a perceived love triangle.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, hey, interesting. Didn't see that coming. I was busy focused on, like I said, like fucking Terminator Hanasaki destroying the badminton. Because she is when she goes game face, when she puts her scary eyes in. Because if you haven't watched it, you got to look for these screen caps. She like normally she's got normal kawaii gu anime eyes, like normally. Like I mean, they're not super deformed, but like she's a short, cute girl with like regular ass anime eyes. When she puts on her game face, her eyes literally lose the pupils and just have a like slightly lighter colored green in the center, and her face is just so like serious and smug, and it's like, wow.
And it's also kind of emotionless and slack. The thing that makes that weird is she talks normally.
Her voice actress doesn't change. I mean, she talks in a more even tone because sometimes Ayano's been like, she's been a little shaky about stuff. When she's in badminton mode, she's like she's confident, but yeah, no, she doesn't like shift from like, I'm talking up here to like, I am talking down here now. Welcome to Badminton Town. She's like, oh, no, I'm still, hey, happy, how you doing? I'm going to put on my normal cutesy polite voice. And then you got her fucking game face, her demon face.
It's kind of that uncanny valley kind of thing. It's all like, this is normal. It's so normal, it creeps me out.
Right, like, yeah, no. I like the effect. It's just, ooh, it's dramatic.
Yeah, it's like, going into Hanabado, 10 out of 10, did not expect serious badminton story.
Oh my god, yeah. And I like that they're doing that because, like I've said this before, supposedly the plot events and the structure of the manga are similar, but it's much more lighthearted and relaxed. I like that the anime's taking a more dramatic look at it because, at least with the way they're doing the animation and stuff, it's like they're doing it a lot of justice, and I think it wouldn't stand out as hard if it wasn't full of this like dramatic tension.
I haven't actually looked that up now that I think about that. Let's see here.
Anime studios and animes you don't remember is a whole separate topic. I was reminded of something. I was reminded of it before because I think we were looking at some anime studios thing last week, but like the anime IGPX came up in like casual conversation. I'm like, holy shit, somebody remembers IGPX.
I remember. Well, I've never watched IGPX. That's the thing. I've heard of it though.
It's a mecha anime about racing. It's pretty good from what I remember.
I think it came out around the time I went into the Navy or something.
Probably.
It was a solid period.
It was on like Toonami and stuff, but I watched it. I watched both seasons. I own the PS2 game because there was a PS2 game. It's actually not bad. It's a little generic and stuff, but it's cool. But no, I'm just like, wow, it was a neat series concept that had a lot of themes that I thought were cool. Oh my god.
So Omega, check this shit out. The studio that did Hanabado, they also did Killing Bites.
Fucking nice. I should have known because Killing Bites is dumb in a lot of ways, but the animation and art style of that was very good. Like, they put a lot of detail in all the right places. You know what I'm talking about. People who actually watched Anime Power Hour and checked out my thumbnails. God, Killing Bites was so good for thumbnails. By the way, follow me on Twitter if you want my fucking P5 screen grabs, because I still do that. I can't watch Persona 5 without being like, this is a fucking great shot. Hold on, let me screen cap it. And give it a funny name. Like, the image of a Joker, like, showing a bunch of money to Futaba in the summer in the beach scene, I have named Smug Rich Crime Boy.
Let's see here. They did the CG Berserk.
That's probably not a plus. I don't think people like that.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of ones that like you would have known because they've done a lot of stuff. They did Terraformers, you know, where people go to Mars and there's giant cockroach people. Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, which I really fucking. Oh, they did Love and Lies too, huh?
Well, what if you said the studio name, I didn't catch it. So who's the actual studio that does this?
The studio is Linden Film. The producer is Toho.
I'll pull it up and look at it myself. Let's see. So Killing Bites. See, I don't recognize a lot of this because they must be relatively new.
See, like that's the thing. It's like they've done plenty of stuff. Like I've seen like a lot of this stuff. Like Schwarzenmarken, that was a good one. Poco's Udon World, that's the one with the little kid in the yellow jacket. Like fucking her and her cat, everything flows. That's a fucking Shinkai film. You know, guy who did 5 centimeters per second and Your Name. That's one of his works.
I feel like I'm not familiar with the studio because they're newer. They were founded in like 2011, I think. So that's like, there's a period in my life where I was busy with stuff, like school, and my watching of anime was very limited to either shit I already watched or basically stuff that showed up on like super popular things like Kill la Kill obviously took off and people were like, Kill la Kill is saving anime, and like, okay, I'm gonna fucking watch this now. Stuff like that. Like it had to hit a certain amount of appeal before I was like, okay, I'll check that out. So some of these are probably in that. Yeah, no, some of these are definitely in that solid. So that's my anime corner. Now I will mention briefly that I had a whole topic possibly as a filler, but I quickly turned Azur Lane into that, and we turned Metal Gear into that too. I was going to talk about manual obsession and like fidgeting and stuff. Like, because I noticed this the other day. I just was walking around with like a stress ball type thing. So like I feel like you've owned fidget spinners, Lucky. You own fidget spinners. I feel like that would be a discussion we could talk about.
I still use my fidget spinner.
I use it sometimes. I
need a new one because the fucking ball bearings are fucking dumb.
Before I moved into a room with carpet, and also because I live on the ground floor in a house with a finished basement, so noise on the floor travels. One of my habits, especially while pacing, was to get those bouncy balls you can get and just bong catch. Bong catch. One hand, two hand, left-handed, right-handed. Just I have very good hand-eye coordination, guys, or at least I think I do. I do that a lot. I used to. So just like I thought we could have a whole topic, but we're at almost like 2.5 hours, so we shouldn't have a whole new topic. Maybe we can bring it back if people are interested. But like, I flip coins sometimes. You might have actually been able to hear that coin flip.
If I'm gonna say real quick, is like something I usually like put something in my mouth.
Well, yeah,
chewing on something.
I have that too. I mean, like people will probably talk about us with oral fixations, but yeah, no, I have a bad habit of chewing pens. From what I understand, is as a child, I had a rough teething period because I chewed a lot of stuff and I never quite grew out of it. Because I remember when I was younger, like when I was like still like middle school, I would chew my shirt all the time. Yeah, I never chewed my shirt per se, but I had a bad habit of occasionally I'd nibble off a button. Like not just raw chewing the shirt, but if I could like work at something with my teeth, I would like chew off buttons. I ate my pencils for a brief period in school until I got into trouble for spitting in class, but it was because I was literally chewing a pencil, teacher. There was pencil shit in my mouth. I know it was dumb of me, but hey. But now I have a bad habit of chewing pens. And quite frankly, I take it as a huge personal victory for me that I do not do this while we do shows, because I know it sounds like this a lot. It's very natural for me to stick a pen in my mouth, but it really hurts my sound quality. I alleviate this because I am literally playing FGO at the same time as we're doing this. Oh yeah, no. So I have something to distract me. You do that, and also, I mean, you have a medically diagnosed disorder. I do not.
Yeah.
So any of my attention problems are not necessarily enough to fully take control of my life or impact me in any way without like additional support. But I totally also fidget. I have a fidget spinner. I have lots of stress balls and stuff that some I squish, some I throw around. But I thought it would be an interesting topic to maybe talk about and see what people think. But we're not going to turn it into a whole thing. I really need to wrap this up because it's literally midnight. I got to get my FGO login rewards. I got to see how long this fucking video is going to take to make. God knows when it'll come out. We'll see. So I'll wrap it up. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Do actually read the descriptions too, because we have links in the description. Like, you can get to our Patreon there, you can get to our Discord there, lots of other stuff. I may put some other useful illustrative links in the so that's always fun. So don't forget to leave your comments there, and you can get a hold of us in Discord. Also, if you, God forbid, you're new here, and this is your first time listening to us, please hit the subscribe button. We do this every week. Even if you are already subscribed, don't forget the bell for notifications, because that way you never miss an episode that we post. Because we try to post every day, but like our schedule's not fixed. Sometimes stuff gets delayed, sometimes stuff moves around, you know. So always you want to be alert for when stuff is posted. And like we said at the top of the show, you can support us on Patreon to really help us out and also get this in audio format and like get it way earlier than other people do, because the audio editing is really simple, but video rendering is hard. So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go and figure out what dumb title I want to give this episode and do a little bit of audio editing.
And remember, the only surefire way for failure is to never try at all.